Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for the Tech Guy is provided by CacheFly. CacheFly.com. Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on the Premier Networks on Sunday, October 1st, 2017. This is episode 1427. Enjoy. The Tech Guy podcast is brought to you by Video Blocks, by Storyblocks. Uncage your creativity. Get all the stock video you need for only $149 a year. Visit videoblocks.com/techguy to save on millions of studio-quality clips from Video Blocks. And by Tracker, a coin-sized tracking device that pairs with your smartphone and keeps you from losing your most valued possessions. Visit thetracker.com right now and enter the promo code TechGuy to save 20% off any order. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. Time to talk about tech, computers, the internet, home theater. Our digital photography guru, Chris Marquardt, will join us a little later on. We'll talk about that. We talk about stuff that is out there now, self-driving cars, but that will be changing dramatically in a few years. Augmented reality. 8888 Ask Leo is the phone number. 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. If you're outside that area, well, heck, just use Skype or something, and you can still call us because it's a toll-free number. Shouldn't cost you anything. 8888 Ask Leo. There is a website which we keep really as a reference so that you don't have to, and I know a lot of you are in the car, you're driving around, you're doing your chores, your errands, you head home from church or whatever, and you don't really want to write stuff down while you're driving. So what we do is we keep track of that all. We have people who do that. And they write it down, and they put it up at techguylabs.com. We also put audio and video from the show up there after the fact, and there's a good search. And as a added convenience, I know many of you, especially the bigger geeks among you, listen to me and say, "No, Leo, there's a better way." And instead of shouting at the radio and raising your blood pressure and risking your life and the life of others around you, all you have to do is go to techguylabs.com and tell me. Leave a comment. We divide the website up into hours. Actually, it starts with a show by show. Then each show has hour by hour. Then each hour has question or segment by segment. And you go right to that question and say, here's what Leo got wrong. And you can write that all in. And the reason I want you to do that is because then, over time, the website becomes more and more valuable, and we got a good search so people can find that stuff. And it's free and it's open, and there's no sign up or anything. Don't give me your email address. I don't want it. We do. The one exception is, of course, if you leave a comment, and this is just to prevent spammers. We ask you to log in with your Facebook or your Google or your Twitter, but believe me, I don't collect that. I don't care about it. I don't want to know it. It's just because that slows spammers down a little tiny bit. Not that much will slow a spammer down. So anyway, I'm back from vacation. Little hoarse. Shouting at all those French soccer matches, But I can talk about tech. Did anything happen over the last couple of weeks when I was gone? Oh, Apple has a new phone out, hey? Well, yeah, the iPhone 8. I've had it now for a whole day. And I'm wondering, what's different? How is this? This is the iPhone 8. I've got an iPhone 7. And I'll tell you what, if they weren't different colors, I wouldn't really be able to tell them apart. There are a few things that are different. The iPhone 8 has, the camera is a little different. It can do this portrait lighting thing, which is of dubious value, to be honest. But it's nice. It's a gimmick. It's still a very, very good camera. I mean, that's really the bottom line. But it's the iPhone 7 was a very, very good camera. So was the iPhone 6, frankly. They haven't made huge strides there. I think one of the things everybody was very interested in with the new iPhone 8 was this is going to be, everybody said, Tim Cook, the CEO of Apple, even said it, the augmented reality phone. This is going to be a breakthrough in augmented reality. So, of course, the first thing I did when I got the new phone is I created a folder, my augmented reality folder on the new iPhone. And I've downloaded, There's an IKEA app that lets you put your furniture in your, before you buy it in your house, or actually it's fun to put it on the street. That just save a couple of steps. Just put it right out on the street to begin with. There's a cool one called Sky Guide that lets you point your phone at the sky. You see the sky, and superimposed on it, you see the constellations that you would be seeing. This is really a continuation of a program that's been around for a while. The only difference is you now see an actual sky through the camera on the screen. It doesn't really, the functionality is pretty much still exactly the same. P-Calc, the calculator has an augmented reality calculator. I guess you're probably getting the thread here. That I just don't, this is not changing the world. So I guess my bottom line, and admittedly, I've only had this phone for 24 hours, so maybe I'm missing something. But if you've got an iPhone 7, if you've got an iPhone 6S, you don't need the iPhone 8. It's not much different. I don't think you would say, oh, boy, I'm so glad I got this. It's remarkably faster. But it's kind of like having a Ferrari in a 25-mile-an-hour zone. It doesn't really, you're not, big deal, right? If you feel like your iPhone 6 is, it's so slow. Gosh, I just have to wait hours. No. Smartphones are plenty fast. Unless I guess there's games you could create a game that would be incredibly complicated and difficult, and you'd have to have a super-duper supercomputer chip in here, which you do. The iPhone 8, this A11 Bionic chip is remarkable. It's as fast, in many cases, as a MacBook Pro laptop. But the point is that you don't need it. Nobody's going to make an app that will only run an iPhone 8 or the new iPhone 10. Nobody's going to do that. They make sure their apps run on all the iPhones. So they're all going to be, I don't think you need the speed. It's amazing. It's impressive. Well done, Apple. But it's not worth another $1,000. And then, of course, the other reason, I don't think this phone is a barn burner. I don't think it's selling out, particularly in the stores, the iPhone 8. That's the sense I get, and the data points we have so far from companies like Slice are, it's about half as much as last year. Half is for Apple. It's still a lot of phones, but it's like, wow. Used to be every year it'd be another 30, 40, 50% in sales. And the stock market's reacting to this, by the way. But Apple it's not the end of the line here for 2017, because they've got another phone coming up October 27th. I think it's one of the reasons iPhone 8 sales are kind of slow. People are just waiting for the other shoe to drop. The iPhone 10. Which, by the way, everybody calls the iPhone X. So let's just get this out of the way. Apple, it's X. It is an X, but it's the Roman numeral 10. And Apple says, no, you should call it the iPhone 10. But no one's going to do that. And I'm going to call it the X by accident a lot. I think Apple, I didn't think it was a good idea to name it the 10, but they did because it's the 10th anniversary iPhone. Anyway, the iPhone 10 will be an iPhone 8, only the screen will be bigger. It'll spread out over the whole face of the phone, which, that's kind of cool, except you lose the fingerprint reader, gone, nowhere to put it. You lose the home button, gone. You have to learn new gestures. You use the iPhone 10 in a completely different way than you use the iPhone 8 or 7 or 6 or 5 or 4, 3, 2 or 1. It's got a new user interface because there's no home button anymore. It also has the ugliest notch. Now, I know the aesthetics is completely subjective. One man's Mona Lisa is another man's, Etch-a-Sketch drawing. But that notch just bugs the heck out of me. You got a beautiful screen, goes all the way to the top, but you can't go all the way to the top because you need to put cameras and speakers and motion detectors and ambient light sensors. Actually, there's quite a few, 6 sensors up there. You gotta have them at the top. So what does Apple do? Well, any normal phone, like let's take as an example the Samsung Galaxy Note 8, which just came out, that has a giant screen, but they stop, a quarter of an inch short of the top. And so there's room for the cameras and stuff. iPhone decided, we're going to go all the way to the top, but we're just going to cut a notch out, a big notch, really, out of the middle of the top for the cameras. So the screen has horns, basically. It's just, it looks like, once you see this, by the way, it's hard to get it out of your mind. It looks like a little devil horns on the screen. And I know it's going to drive me crazy because you go full screen with an app and there's going to be a little notch cut out of it. Not so little, a big notch cut out of it. And what do you get because of that? You don't get better augmented reality. The camera's facing you, not out there. You get animated emojis and face recognition, which you didn't need because you had a fingerprint reader. Anyway, I'm wondering about all this. Do you need it? I don't think so. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Bum ba 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 bum. Someone documenting iOS 11 performance. Oh, we put a link in yesterday's show notes. Somebody's asking me in the chat room. We put a link in yesterday's show notes to an Ars Technica article about, I think it was by Andrew Cunningham, who's their Apple iPhone guy, and talking about that. And he said it runs okay. iOS 11 runs okay on 5S. I did, Mike B. Thank you for the Cuphead tips. I am all set to play Cuphead. I have a phone with a notch. Apple's not the first to cut a hole in their phone. This is the phone from Andy Rubin, the guy who created Android. He started his own company called Essential. And this is a weird kind of... So here's the iPhone 8. It's got actually a bigger screen than the iPhone 8, but it's a much smaller package. So that's kind of cool. And it's got a little bit smaller screen than the Note 8, but again, much smaller package. Let me see if the battery died or not. By the way, shiny black, not a good surface for fingerprints. And that's why I got the white. You can't see fingerprints on there. Let's see, how do you turn this on? Well, there's only a handful of buttons. One of them has to do it. There you go. So when it gets powered up, you'll see. But it's a nice screen. Smaller than the Note 8, but bigger than the iPhone. But they have the same problem because they wanted the biggest screen they could get, but they have a camera. They don't have Apple's problem because Apple's got stuff that goes all the way across, but they have a little camera up here, so they put a little notch in it. Arguably, the little notch, see, that is not as annoying. It's still aesthetically a little annoying. This is the Essential phone, and this is nice, but not, kind of a non-starter. Because why would you buy this? You got the Google phone coming out on Wednesday. You got the Note 8. You got the iPhone 8. I don't know why you get that. Yeah, you'd think there'd be, but you can't. There's fingerprints on here, I'm sure, but you don't see them in the same way you do on glossy black, which just piano black just is a fingerprint magnet. You probably can't see it in the camera, but believe me, I can see it. And no headphone jack on this one either. And I'm sorry, but if that is, I think, important enough that it's almost why I would get a Note 8, because it has a headphone jack. Yeah, I have clear cases. I take them out for purposes of the show. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Of course, we're not even done. I know you're done with me talking about phones, but we're not even done because Wednesday Google has a new announcement, at least two, maybe I'm hearing now maybe three new phones from Google, 3 new Android phones, plus a new tablet, a new Chromebook. It just never ends, does it? Though, thank goodness, we can take a little break here in this little oasis of sanity and say hello to Kim Schaffer, who's answering. Happy Sunday. Answering the phones today.
Yes, I am.
Yes, you are.
I think a lot of people are watching football. So
it's a little slow, is it?
It's a good time to call if you want to call.
Oh, you know what that means when radio people say that? There's no one calling quick. 8888. I better give the phone number. You don't want me talking for 3 hours. 88. Although I'm completely capable of doing
are.
that. 8888.
When the phones were busted.
That's good. I did a couple of times on the big talk station in San Francisco. A couple of times I did an overnight. Ray Taliaferro did that so well for so many years, and it gave me a great appreciation of Ray Taliaferro because there aren't a lot of calls, and what calls there are at 3 in the morning are
crazy.
Kind of nutty.
Yes.
Kind of nutty. So you do kind of talk a lot.
Yep.
And it's a skill I've never really lacked. I'm not proud to say. But I'd much rather talk to people.
And Ray ran his own board, too, just to let you know.
He did what they call a combo operation.
Yeah.
Well, I am doing a combo operation. Those knobs behind you.
Yeah, you are.
Those are completely fake. They don't do anything.
Yeah,
those are. You're not running my board. Don't anybody think that. I'm doing it all by myself. So
you're running your cameras, but
I'm also running cameras and my audio and all of that. That's why everything sounds so terrible. Because Leo's doing it all. No, I kind of you got me digressing now. I kind of like what they call combo operation, where you do it all, because I'm a control freak.
Yep.
And you have an engineer pushing the buttons, and I've had that for many years. And you don't have. Sometimes they turn you off. Sometimes I don't like that.
You don't want to be potted down.
That. No. They even used one time. They used the delay on me.
Oh.
I didn't like that.
Did you say something bad?
They saved me from a large FCC fine, so I couldn't really come back.
And that is what they're there for.
This show is so complicated that not only do I run the audio and video at this end, we have a whole nother person, Michael Cozio, in Sherman Oaks running that end. So I do have, really, it is he could turn my... Michael, don't do that. So, Kim.
Don't freak Michael out like that.
But there's no reason for me to be messing around like this because we do have calls. So let's take a couple.
How about Mark in Myrtle Beach? I think he doesn't want to do Facebook, but wants to know if there's any kind of alternative.
I don't want to.
I don't want to. He's
resistant.
I
don't blame him. Hi, Mark. Thank you, Kim. Hi, Mark. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, Leo. Finally got a chance to talk to you. Great show. Been a fan since tech. The tech days. And
I've been a fan since God invented tech.
Yeah. I mean,
I think that's what you were trying to say.
Well, in 2009, I was like wondering whatever happened, and I did a internet search for Leo Laporte, and it was like, oh, cool, he's just starting this network up. So.
You know, I've had a good career when you start saying, whatever happened to that guy?
Yeah, you're the man.
Whatever happened to him? People are still saying that. So, hello. Thank you for the kind words. Yeah, I've been talking about technology nonstop since 1992, which is a ridiculous amount of time.
That's awesome. I mean, I've worked in tech doing help desk and stuff like that, throughout the years. So it's been a common interest even after I kind of left that.
It's for a journalist or a pundit or a talk show host, it's a great subject because it's always changing. It's always interesting. It's important, and yet it's not life-threatening in most cases. So it's kind of fun, It's kind of it's like sports, but it means something.
Yeah, and I think people have to keep up with it regardless if they're tech interested.
So.
Especially all the stuff going on with Equifax and hacking.
So what can I do for you today?
Hey, I'm looking for an alternative to Facebook, more for common interest than for family, and I just don't like how they do the algorithmic thing with the... I've quit Facebook once, and if I didn't have to cover it, if I weren't covering technology, I would not be on Facebook today. I think Facebook is really sketch. Yeah, it is.
They're not merely in the amount of data they collect on you, but just there's a certain creepy factor to the way they manage your feed, the stuff you see on Facebook.
And this is it, yeah.
They're very I feel like they're manipulative. Now, I think Mark Zuckerberg, the founder of Facebook, is a very, very smart guy. He's the richest guy under 40 in the world, and probably will end up being the richest guy in the world. He's got 2 billion users, which is an amazing success. But I understand why somebody might say, I don't need to be on Facebook. And one thing we know, and I notice this in myself, the more time you spend on social media, the worse you feel. Do you notice that? Is that just me?
Yeah.
It's depressing.
It's a very time-consuming, and I'm finding myself, I was getting very addicted to it.
Yeah, it's addictive. That's right.
So you kind of know it's not good for you, but you can't stop. And you'll catch yourself at 2 a.m.
Yep.
like lying in bed, looking at your phone on Facebook, and you realize this isn't good. If this were alcohol, I'd have a problem. And so I really understand why you'd want to, and yet you see there's that little addiction in there because you say, well, then, but how would I keep, and for some people it's keep track of my high school friends or keep track of my family or keep up with, what is it that you want to replace? What is it that Facebook does do that you want to keep without using Facebook?
Well, I want to be able to post pictures still, and it's a common interest. It's not a business. It would be like more about guitars and stuff like that, and just.
Well, Facebook cleverly, knowing that people are going to do this, bought a company called Instagram, which is just about pictures.
That answers that question.
They own them. But it is I have to say, I rarely feel bad. Well, that's even changed. I used to enjoy looking at people's pictures on Instagram, but then something started happening where people this is one of the reasons I think we feel bad using social media. You only see the highlights, the best part of people's life in general. Mm-hmm. And so it makes you feel like, gosh, what am I doing wrong? All these people are having this great life and they're traveling and they're doing fun things. And it makes me feel like, I'm not doing enough. And so I'd look at Instagram, it's nice people's kids, their pets. And more though, it's, people looking gorgeous in front of the beach at Maui. and it's like, I can't. But you can do the same thing you do with Twitter or Facebook. You can tailor your feed to follow only people you care about and like. If you're a photographer, you want to share photography, it really is a great platform for that. There are other places that pros often use. Flickr, which is a Yahoo group, is very popular for photograph sharing. There's also 500px.com that is really an excellent site. Great images there. And if you're serious about photography, that's a good place to share it. But I think Instagram, 500px.com. I think I think Instagram has a lot of the best of Facebook. But I guess I have to point out that it is Facebook. So if you're worried about them tracking you it's like a light. It's like Facebook Lite. It's less intrusive. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. And then there are sites that were created designed to replace Facebook, which haven't really taken off tremendously well. This is ELLO.co. They call it now the Creators Network because they've pivoted a little bit. It really was originally just to take over from Facebook. It's the global community of artists dedicated to creative excellence. So this might be a good place. Pinterest is also. I know a lot of people think, well, it's just for sharing pictures of shoes, but Pinterest actually is a great place to share photographs. And then there's an actual Facebook kind of clone, which has not taken off, called Diaspora. And the name tells you it was really intended for people fleeing Facebook. But I don't know what the status is of Diaspora now. It's
and I did when I looked up Facebook alternatives on Google, that actually came to the top of the list. But they said it's like a drop in the ocean compared to the participation, and it's
nothing. Nothing's got. I mean, Facebook's got 2 billion users. Nothing's even close. Even Instagram is only 800 million. I mean, nothing comes close to Facebook.
But I guess I'm looking for something that's going to be around, and I like the one you just mentioned. I can't pronounce it.
Diaspora.
Diaspora.
The idea is good because there's no one server. It's very privacy focused, but no one's there. And that's
open source, right?
Yep. And so you can run your own server. It's a federated server system. So so that's a neat idea. And excuse me, we've seen Twitter alternatives come and go, like Mastodon and GNU.social. They have the same idea, a kind of replace Facebook or replace Twitter with a federated system that no one person runs, controls, or owns. I like that idea.
Right.
But the general public just doesn't, they don't grasp the difference. They go, well, Facebook, it's where my family is.
Well, Leo, what's driving me nuts about it, and what I noticed was, and I kind of stumbled upon this, if I do an upload from my phone, okay, to Facebook,
Yeah. They
versus
squish
doing it from my PC.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, usually when I do it from my PC, I strip off. I guess it's considered removing the metadata, and I'll use the Windows tool that you go to Properties and remove all data, and it won't even take off. Like if I transfer to, like, I'll go through the trouble of emailing it to myself or connecting the phone to the computer and just kind of download it and then stripping off all the metadata. And I have nothing to hide. It's just that I don't like Facebook getting my
the metadata tells them. I mean, I arrived at a hotel in France, and Facebook pops up. I go up and Facebook says, "Hi, I see you're at the Intercontinental Legrand. You want to check in?" It's like, oh my God. Of course they know because the phone's telling them. But I think that this is a deeper conversation. We really have to ask. Yeah. As a society, what we want to do, and the problem is Facebook is a runaway train at this point. They're dominant, and because of what they call it, the network effect. When you get a certain critical mass of members, it's very hard to beat. And people go to Facebook because that's where everybody is, and everybody's there because that's where everybody is, and it's a depending on your point of view, a virtuous or vicious circle. So
well, I know you probably disagree with me here, but I mean, I remember when MySpace, and I thought it was a pretty decent. Yeah, I mean, it was like a simple.
That's not going to happen again. Facebook replaced MySpace, but nothing's going to replace Facebook. Nothing's going to replace Google. I know that seems odd, but I really think that this is that critical mass issue. They're so big now they can't be duplicated. Right. How would you move 2 billion people? It was easier in the early days when MySpace, if 100,000 people decided to leave MySpace, that was that.
Yeah.
Wouldn't even be a blip on the Facebook. Hey, I got to run. Great.
Hey, Cleo, can I ask you just one more question?
Real quick.
Okay. When I was uploading them from the phone versus doing...
Hold on. I got to go. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. That's really what's happening on Facebook. We're all dancing with ourselves, aren't we? I don't know. I don't know. I would love to get off of all the social network. Don't you have the fantasy every once in a while of just getting disconnected and then I'm on vacation and the internet's a little bit slow and I'm going, I need the internet. It's too slow. So maybe it's a fantasy. We were talking before the break, and I had unfortunately cut off Mark in Myrtle Beach because he was looking for an alternative to Facebook. You said you had another question, Mark?
Yeah, it's still concerning that when I upload the photos from the phone, okay, what I notice is that it'll go on a wall, and I'll have my personal Facebook account and then the one I use for the common interest guitars. But if I upload them without taking off the metadata, when I'm calling it metadata, the Windows tool.
Yeah. No, it's called metadata. Yeah.
It seems to go. It seems to be more predictable. It'll go on my friends' walls.
I see what you're saying. That while you could strip it out, Facebook promotes it more if it knows more about it.
Well, I get these weird effects if I do it, and I'll put it on the night before after I strip everything off, and I can see it on my thing. And,
this is probably true. Facebook. Think about what, from the point of view of a Facebook engineer, they are constantly and this is the thing I think really the root of the problem a lot of privacy advocates and others have with Facebook is they don't tell you how their algorithm works. And we know that they really, by slight shifts and by algorithm, I mean the rules for what shows up on your feed. I think most people, when they use Facebook, just say, oh, I know what shows up on my feed, the most recent posts from the people I follow. No. For instance, you aren't even seeing all of Aunt Greta's posts or, your best friends or your wife or husband's posts. Only some of them are going through. There's other posts intermingled in, and Facebook does a lot of finagling to get that. And so put yourself in the engineer's position. Their goal is one and only goal is to keep you on Facebook sharing more. So they want you to
Right.
they want it to be sticky so that you continually read it and that you reshare and you post. That's their goal. If they do that, everything else is golden. They make money, the advertisers are happy, they grow. So their goal is to keep you there, reading it and posting. So they just constantly they have hundreds of little knobs in effect, and they just twiddle them and they watch what happens. I don't even think they do it maliciously. They just watch. Oh, look, I turned this knob, and Mark spent 30 seconds more today on Facebook. Let's turn it again. Oh, he spent 45 seconds more. And they just keep doing that until they make it the stickiest possible. They're not saying, oh, I wonder if if he puts in the EXIF information in his photos, we'll make sure more people see it. They're not saying that. They're algorithmically, without even thinking about it, they're just optimizing. They're optimizing
your behavior.
And this is how, by the way, it all works. And this is why technology is starting to become more dehumanizing and more addictive, because we now have so much data in technology. We have so much information about you and your habits and what you do online. Every time you use your browser, everything you do is being collected and parsed, not by a human, but by machines. But the humans have told the machines, all right, optimize. I'll give you an example. There's a game, I don't know if you've ever played it, called World of Warcraft. It's an online game, and it's very addictive. So much so that there are people who have, I'm sad to say, there's people who have actually died because they couldn't stop playing. Literally. They're in South Korea for the most part, but it's happened. But there's certainly people who've lost families, lost their lives. It's as addictive as any drug. This game has become more and more addictive because Blizzard, the company, and I don't say they do this maliciously. This is their job. But because they know all about what you do when you're playing this game, they can optimize it and improve it and make it more fun, make it more sticky, make it more attractive to you. So as they notice that there are certain things you like and certain things you dislike, they put more things in you like. But what in effect they've done is create this, I think, unconsciously and not evilly, but they have created in effect an evil thing. We have gotten to the point now with software and the gamification, that's the term that's used, whether it's a game or not, of software, that they've gotten really good at making it stickier and stickier, more and more addictive. And as a result, even though we feel bad, I mean, maybe am I the only one? I think I'm not. They kind of feel, you use social networks and you kind of feel, I feel like I wasted some time, or maybe you played 8 hours of World of Warcraft, you kind of feel bad. But we go back and do it again the next day because they're so good at this. We have created in a way a monster that can optimize itself for attractiveness. And I think when I say this, it's probably not a surprise to you, right? We're kind of all aware of this, but it's getting worse, isn't it? And Facebook is a really good example because they are really smart. They're really good at what they do. You don't get to 2 billion users. 2 billion users. There's not, I mean, how many, there's 5 billion, 4 billion users of the internet? Maybe less. They've got 2 billion of them, and they're growing. You don't get to 2 billion users without being really good at optimizing. I don't know what to say. I didn't mean to depress you, but I think it's obvious. And I think probably the best thing for most of us would be to be aware of this and maybe use it less or don't use it at all. If you don't need Facebook, quit it. Quit it. And Instagram, quit it. You might actually find yourself happier. It's a crazy thing for a tech guy to say, isn't it? It's kind of self-defeating. I'm glad you brought it up though, Mark. And so the answer to your question, should I keep metadata in my photos? Facebook is a little magic machine that keeps giving you sugar cubes every time you do the right thing. And if you want more sugar cubes, yes, you should absolutely do exactly what Facebook wants you to do. It's very, very addictive. 8888 asks Leo, you disagree? I bet there's a few people going, oh, you're nuts. Call me. Tell me. Let's have a conversation about this. You know who thinks I'm nuts? I know who thinks I'm nuts. Dr. Mom on the line from Long Island, New York. Hello, Dr. Mom.
Hey, Leo, I don't think you're nuts. I think you're eccentric.
Well, that's okay. That's not so bad. I like eccentric. I always wanted to be eccentric. How are you today, Dr. Mom?
I'm good. I'm calling. While you were away, I'm sure you saw they turned on calling all landlines from the Amazon Echo instead of just being able to call.
No, I didn't see that. That's awesome. I know they had an event, and I wasn't around for it. So just as you can with the Google Home, you can call phones now from your Amazon Echo.
Right.
By the way, Dr. Mom is our Amazon Echo expert. You use it all the time and more proficiently than anybody else I know.
I mean, I'm like you. I've got them in the bathroom, my dressing room.
Are you going to buy the new clock, the alarm clock?
No.
Why not?
One thing I don't want a camera in my bedroom.
See, that's where I think they went a little bit wrong. It's kind of a nice look. It's got a screen, so you can have a clock, but you can have other things on it. But then they put a camera on it next to your bed. What were they thinking?
I don't know, but the only way I would buy it, and the picture doesn't show it, is if it was a mechanical shutter I could close.
Yeah, well, you could put a little piece of tape on it. But I mean, when I say what were they thinking, obviously they were thinking. Because if you're Amazon, the best thing you could do is have a complete and utter understanding of everything Dr. Mom owns and does to make sure that she buys more of it.
True.
Hang on, we got to take a break. I want to hear what you have to say. Hang on, Dr. Mom.
Okay.
We call her Dr. Mom because she's a doctor and she's a mom. And she's in our chat room all the time. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Doctor and Mom and I are wearing our disco finest. We're dancing. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Ooh. We were talking high tech with Dr. Mom. That's what we call her. Lil from Long Island, New York. Hi, Lil.
Hi.
What can I do for you?
Well, as I was saying before you had to go to break, I had a chance to try out the call any landline number from the Amazon Echoes. If you remember when they originally rolled it out, you could call Echo to Echo, but you couldn't call a landline.
Right.
And this last week they rolled out that you can call landlines.
Okay. So I've used it with the Google Home. And, of course, there's some, little thing. You have to have the person in your contact list. Or I guess you could spell out the number. I didn't try that. It's a speaker phone, so it'll work across the room, but you don't sound so good. You have to kind of go up to it and talk to it. But it's kind of a nice convenience. And I've already heard stories from people. Remember, we had somebody called up, said he fell and he hurt himself. He couldn't get to the phone, but he was able to use his Amazon Echo to call his brother's Echo and say, come help me. And I'm sure that there are a few situations like that, so that's good. So tell me about the making calls to phones with the Echo. Tell me how that works.
What you do is, you say whatever wake-up words you want to say to it, and I'm not going to say that because mine will go off.
Yeah.
And then you say, it doesn't have to be a number in your contact list. You can just say dial and then the number. You can't say, I tried 8888, ask Leo. And it doesn't know that. You have to actually say the numbers.
But if you said Echo call and you said the phone number, it would call that number.
Right. Now, here's a couple of things.
Yeah.
It will not call Google Voice. Don't go through.
There's something strange about Google Voice numbers. Sometimes text messages don't work with it either. I've noticed that.
It won't call 800 numbers.
Oh, that's too bad. All right.
Because I tried to call in on the Echo so you could get a sample of the voice quality.
So you wouldn't be able to call Leo at 8888 Ask Leo anyway?
No. The other thing you cannot do is I tried hooking up a Bluetooth headset that was usable for phones to make calls.
Yeah.
That doesn't work either because it doesn't get the voice input.
Yeah. I think many of these issues are probably similar to what's going on with the Google Home as well. It's not really a phone.
No, but they're replacing it now. And remember, in December, there's something else coming out, which I pre-ordered, which is a box that you hook into your phone line. And then the Amazon Echo will then call, and it'll say it's calling from your home number. Right now, the caller ID that shows up is the cell phone number, the number you have attached to the account. In December, they're going to have another box that's going to let you call, and say it's coming from your home line.
Now, that's the Echo Connect.
Correct.
But you don't need the Echo Connect today to make a phone call with your existing Echo.
No, but what I'm curious. It's not that expensive, so I ordered one. I'm curious if that one will let you call the 800 numbers.
Yeah.
Will let you call.
I bet you it will. You know why? Because it's tied to your existing landline number, right?
Well, you tie it to the landline, or you can get one of those docks where you put your cell phone in and it gives you a plug in the back.
Right.
So your cell
I
phone
bet you that gives them the missing capability to call 800 numbers and Google, even Google Voice numbers, because I think that's what's missing from an Echo is it's not attached to any actual phone carrier.
Right. The other thing it probably will give you, if that works, is the ability to use it for 911.
Again, that makes sense. In fact, that sounds like a Connect to be a good thing to have. The only thing I don't like about it is I'm not crazy about speaker phones.
I agree. And once I saw that I couldn't hook a headset up to it, I mean, if I'm in the kitchen, I'm doing something, you don't want to hear the pots and pans clattering.
Yeah.
You don't want to hear. If I'm on a phone call, a business call, my kids walk in, my husband walks in or something, or he's using it, the other people don't have to hear what's going on.
Yeah.
And
I hope we don't have this kind of sudden epidemic of speaker phone calls, because when somebody calls the radio show, one of the first things we do is they say, you can't use your speakerphone, get on the handset.
Yeah, that's why I tried to hook up a wireless Bluetooth headset to the Echo to see if I could make the call, and it does not work.
So I did miss this event. Amazon had an event talking about new Echoes. They announced that alarm clock, that little round ball Echo, but they also announced this Echo Connect. It's only $35, so it's probably low enough. You might be worth plugging in. You plug it in. It has one port, an Ethernet port, it looks like, and a USB port.
No, it's not. As far as I can tell, that's not an Ethernet port.
Is that a phone jack?
Wired to a phone jack.
It's a phone jack. Oh, I get it. So plugs into. So you have to have a landline?
Well, as I said, you could use one of those docks where you stick your cell phone into it, and then, that can go to other phones in the house.
So it's. This is a confusing product.
For the price, I'm going to try one out.
Good.
It gives you the ability to call 911, 800 numbers and such. It may be worth it.
Yeah.
Because that's the one limitation for cell phones, for any other kind of calling.
It's going to be E911, though, right? Not the real 911. Or is it? It's the real 911.
Well, if it's using my landline, it should be real 911.
Yeah, and they would know where you are and all that.
And that gives you the option. You're a person, you've fallen on the floor. You can say, Echo.
Yeah, call 911. See, this is very confusing product, though, because it looks like just a box that plugs into your. It looks like a phone, basically.
Yeah.
That has a speaker. It's a speakerphone. I don't understand. Amazon's throwing spaghetti against the wall, aren't they?
I think they are. Like I said, what we talked about before, I'm not going to get one of those little alarm clocks because I don't want a camera in my bedroom.
Yeah. That's kind of creepy, right?
It's the same way I've got a dot in my bathroom.
I like my dot. Yeah. But you wouldn't want a camera in their bathroom, would you?
Not unless I want to scare somebody who's going into death.
Dr. Mom, thanks for the call. I appreciate it. Let us know when you get this Connect. Call me. Actually, you can call me on the Connect if you want. We can hear what it sounds like.
We'll give it a try.
Yeah,
okay.
We can see. Nice to talk to you.
Okay.
Have a great day,
Lil.
All right. Take care. Don in Montana, Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi, this is Don in Montana. I talked to you last month. I was having trouble with extensions not opening on my Chrome after Chrome was shut down, and the problem is somewhat slowed down, but I'm still having problems with Chrome after it shuts down. If we have a power outage or I turn it off to reset, the theme disappears every time, and I have to go back to...
Are you using Chrome's built-in synchronization technique?
Yes.
So you have it. You give it a password, and it logs in. That way, if you use Chrome on a different machine or a Chromebook, it takes your themes and your extensions. All that's working?
Well, I don't have any other machines
right.
that the theme is working on. I just have a tablet.
So like you install a new version, if you had a new computer and installed Chrome, it would just automatically have all your it would sync up your bookmarks, your theme, your extensions.
I think it's supposed to, yeah.
That's the idea.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. So you are using that. So even if, somehow an extension got deleted, you'd think Chrome would come back and install it. Have you tried, I'm sure I suggested this to you last time, have you tried resetting Chrome?
Yes, that becomes a problem too because you got to go through and reinstall reset everything
right.
again.
Yeah,
I've done that a couple of times,
and it's still even after you reset Chrome, reinstall your extensions, they're still disappearing over time.
Yeah. Well, the extensions don't disappear. They were just giving me a problem that they wouldn't open. I turned the computer on, and I couldn't get to my LastPass for sometimes as long as 9 minutes. And then all at once it would open up and be available on the tabs on top.
LastPass can do that because LastPass has to connect to their servers and download your password database. So I've seen delays.
With a lot of them.
That's an awfully long delay. Yeah, there's something. This is weird, but you might want to turn off syncing. Since you don't really need it, maybe that's the problem. Maybe it's calling the home office. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. I wonder, have you tried turning off? Weirdly enough, that might be the solution, is just say, don't sync.
Well, here's another thing. When the theme disappears, I go into settings, and the theme is still showing that it's active. If I reset there and go back to default setting and then reload the theme, it pops right back in again.
Yeah.
And then I have other problems that I think are related. Resolving host. Once the computer or Chrome shuts down, everything slows down, and I've got this resolving host message. Sometimes it says downloading proxy settings, and when I've done a troubleshooting, that comes up every time that the
You're not using a proxy, are you?
No, not that I know of. I don't.
Oh. You don't want to see that.
Yeah. Well, it's apparently a problem around the internet, on other people's programs. It's been addressed a number of times for Microsoft, and nobody seems to know what's causing it. The
So
message on troubleshooting comes up.
A common technique used by malware is to set up a proxy so that all your traffic goes through. It's called a man-in-the-middle attack. All your traffic goes through their server. That is a warning sign. When you get a pop-up saying, I can't contact the proxy, I don't like that. You've gone into your settings and looked at the proxy settings, I presume.
Well, this problem that's been on the internet that nobody seems to have a solution for, you get this message when you do troubleshooting. It says, Windows could not automatically detect the network proxy settings.
Right.
And I've run Malwarebytes, I've run the Defender, I've run House Call. I've come up with nothing as far as
well, that's encouraging. It sounds like you don't have malware. You shouldn't have. I'm looking at Chrome just to see where they put this. You shouldn't have Chrome trying to configure proxy. That should be, if you can find where that's turned on, you should absolutely turn that off. It might not be in Chrome. It might be in your Windows settings, but you absolutely don't need a proxy, to look for a proxy. That's a waste of time. I'm looking at the chat room has an interesting number of solutions. One is, which is a good one, but it's a little complicated, is to try a trace route to see where your traffic's going. Make sure it's not going through a man in the middle. I think we're going to reject that as an unlikely possibility at this point. One suggestion that's not a bad idea, it's a good troubleshooting thing, is to create a new Windows account, new Windows user.
That's what I've read, and I'm thinking about doing that.
It's not too hard. You just create it, give it administrative, and log in. All your apps, your stuff will still be installed. In fact, if you've got Chrome installed with syncing, it should resync, and see if the problem reoccurs.
Yeah, they suggest even don't reinstall because your corruption may be in what you've got in there.
That's right. That's right.
Just don't transfer it. Go back and do it by hand.
Yeah, that may be true as well.
One other question. When you get this verification block every time your computer shuts down, you got to verify every account you open again. It says, don't ask for verification on this computer again, and I check that box. It doesn't seem to matter.
What is it? Who's asking for verification?
Google and Microsoft.
So you have to. Oh, you see. Okay, this is all related.
I've got double.
This is all related. Okay. Now this is a useful extra little piece of information. That's not supposed to happen. What that means is that the cookies that are being set when you do that aren't being retained. Now I'm understanding why your browser's misbehaving. It sounds like your hard drive's flaky.
What?
Yes, because so when you log into Google, it sets a cookie. It sets a cookie with a 30-day expiration date. And within the first 30 days, you don't need to log into Google again, but after 30 days, it expires and you have to do it again. It sets the cookie for another 30 days. You're getting it every time you log in. It means it can't set that cookie. So there is something going on with your hard drive. Maybe you're running out of space. Maybe your permissions are kerfluggered. You know, hard drives are often screwed up a little bit.
Well, how about the fact that I've marked don't store cookies?
Oh, that would have something to do with it.
Or, you know, I run...
People use all this privacy crap, and then they wonder why their computer doesn't work. It's not that I'm against privacy, but the whole thing's designed to use cookies. You've turned off cookies, of course. Yeah. That's why. Turn that back on. Nothing wrong with cookies. The whole reason you have cookies is so you don't have to log on to Google every time.
Is that related to the resolving host, too?
Might be.
Yeah. Well, we'll play with it some more.
Yeah, that's in effect, you've simulated hard drive failure by saying, don't save anything.
True, and then when you go through with the CC Cleaner.
Yeah, and don't, by the way, are you using, you heard that CC Cleaner for the last month has been installing malware, right?
No, didn't hear that one.
Don't use this crap. Yes, so now you've got another problem, which may or may not be related. CCleaner for like a month or two, when you installed it, was installing malware. Don't use this stuff.
Eradicate that.
You know
one
what?
too.
You're like me. You come from an earlier era when you couldn't use a Windows machine without doing a lot of stuff to it.
Yeah.
Welcome to the 21st century. We don't have to do that anymore. Don't defrag. Don't clean your registry. Don't run an antivirus. Don't run all these privacy things. All of this stuff is actually making it worse, not better. Let go and let Windows.
Okay.
Hey, thanks for the call. I appreciate it.
Well, thanks a lot.
Take care. You get this a lot, especially with us old timers. We've been using this stuff for a long time, and we gotta, you gotta defrag every quarter. No, you gotta do this and that. No, you don't have to anymore. That's Windows XP. That's Windows 95. Those days are long gone. And don't use CCleaner. Yeah, that's nuts. I got a good one for you though. This happened to me today. It's a little puzzler. I figured it out though. I was proud of myself. So we have two TiVos, one in the living room, one in the bedroom, in the gym actually. And Lisa's using the one in the gym, and it's not. We came back from vacation, and it's not responsive. It's like really slow. She'll press the button, and I said, "Oh well, we rebooted the TiVo. We tried a bunch of stuff. It's still really slow. It's weird." Then she says this to me this morning, and the sound. I can't adjust the sound anymore. I used to be able to because we set the TiVo up as a universal remote. Then today I go in the living room to turn on the football game. Same thing's happening in the living room. I'm thinking, oh no, was there a TiVo update that screwed up TiVo? How come the same thing's happening here? And then I had it. Do you know where I'm going with this? Can you solve this? We were gone for 2 weeks. The kid took the TiVo remote control, which looks exactly like in the living room, which is exactly like the TiVo remote control in the gym, brought it into the gym, forgot, took the gym one and put it in. They kind of work. But not exactly. It was driving me crazy for a whole day. Lisa and I'm trying all these things. They swapped the remotes. The living room remote was in the gym. The gym remote was in the living room. I'm pretty sure that's it because I went in there and it fixed it. The kid did it. There's all sorts of weird things that happened like that in 2 weeks. Just little customization, configuration issues. No, don't use malware bytes. You don't need any of that stuff. That stuff causes more problems as you're learning than it solves. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography. Yes, Chris Marquardt coming up in half an hour, our photo guru. All that jazz, anything with a chip in it. 8888 Ask Leo is the phone number. 888-827-5536. This is the smartphone crazy season. And I wouldn't blame you if you're going crazy trying to decide, should I get a Note 8 or an iPhone 8 or should I wait for the iPhone 10 or now the LG V30 comes out this week and oh my goodness, if you want some help, I could try to unmuddy the waters a little bit. 888-827-5536. That's toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. We have a great website, too, techguylabs.com. Everything we talk about is there. It's free. You don't have to pay. I don't want your email address, techguylabs.com. Let us continue on, shall we? I'm sure we got a full board now. See, all you have to do is beg. Mike B. in New Jersey. Well, it's the chat room today. Hello, Mike B.
Hey, Leo.
Mike sent me a great tip sheet for this crazy new Xbox Windows game called Cuphead that looks fun and easy, but it's murder.
Oh, it reminds me, I'm dating myself. If you remember Dragon's Lair back in...
You die every time, right? You get one step farther and you die. One step farther and you die. Yeah.
That's exactly what it's like. So, Leo...
Dragon's Lair was the one... Wait a minute, one more thing. You've taken me down memory lane now and I'm stuck. Wasn't Dragon's Lair the one that was built based on a laser disc? In the cabinet, They had a laser disc. And so you'd take...
It was Don Bluth who did the animation, if I remember correctly.
Yes, Don Bluth was legendary animator, and it was beautiful Bluth animation. And you would turn left or right, and you'd have to wait while the scene loaded in from the laser disc.
Yeah, and if you hit that joystick half a second too early or too late, you were dead.
Yeah.
And Cuphead, beautiful game. Also hand-drawn. Just now we have the CPU processing that we don't need laser discs anymore to do that kind of animation, but it's just as frustrating.
Yeah.
Some of the tips are good as far as remapping the keys, but it's a tough game. So a lot of the folks, they talk about how they go back to your days from ZDTV or maybe even MSNBC.
Yep.
I go back to your days on PBS when you did that internet show that unfortunately can't be found anywhere on the internet.
Thank goodness. I'm so relieved. The problem with doing TV is that a lot of times this stuff lives a long time. And that show, I don't know if that was my finest hour, that show.
I thought it was a great show.
Thank you.
The main reason I called in, if you want to call it calling in, is you're just talking...
Are you on your Echo?
I'm actually calling to you on my Google Home. Two Google Homes.
It does sound like you're on a speakerphone. How close are you to the Google Home?
Maybe about a foot away.
Okay. So that was one of my points. Was it's still a speakerphone. I don't want all of our phone calls suddenly to sound like speakerphones.
Exactly, and that's why I called him. Normally, if I was going to call into the show, I would use my landline.
Yes.
I would use wired phone.
Yes.
But because you were talking about these new home assistants and the call quality, Alexa probably will eventually get to that level where you can do the calls, but the home already can do it. So I didn't use the letters. I just did the numbers saying, the activation code and then your phone number.
Yeah.
And it called right in like 2 seconds.
Just to reiterate, because if you didn't hear the previous call last hour, the way the Echo works, you can't call 800 numbers, which means, and you can't call letter numbers either, like 8888 Ask Leo. You'd have to call 888-827-5536, and it still wouldn't work because it's a toll-free number. But you're saying that on the Google Home you can do that.
Yeah.
And that's good to know. Yeah.
Exactly, and I'm doing it to you right now on my
nice
internet.
Nice,
so,
Mike B. Thanks for the demo. I appreciate it.
Oh, I'm happy, Leo, and keep up the great work. I love the show.
Thank you. Although your judgment is somewhat suspect if you thought that internet show was good. It was literally 25 years ago. So the internet was pretty new. I mean, it was the mid-90s, I think I did that, 94, 93. The internet is so PBS wanted to do a show explaining what the internet was. And we didn't have a lot of money. But for a lot of people, it's probably the first experience they had of the internet. Anyway, it certainly has come a long way. Thank you for the call, Mike. Let's go to Taylor in Ohio. Hello, Taylor. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, Leo. Hey, real quick about your point with Facebook and society and that. Look at all the young people sitting around a table. They're practically sitting right next to each other, and they're just staring at their phone, scrolling at Facebook. I
have mixed feelings about this. As an old fart, I look at it and go, kids today, They're not experiencing life. They're experiencing it through their phone. Of course, I do the same thing. But on the other hand, I wonder, well, maybe this just is how, the new world's going to be. And, my kids might as well embrace it because... But I do think we're a little addicted to these, aren't we? We can't pull our eyes away from them, even to talk to people sitting across from us.
So speaking of social media, I've been messing around with the open source OBS Studio, allowing you to stream video and stuff like that.
Seems to be very popular. This is the program that people who, do what's called Let's Play videos use. So there's a picture of them. You've seen this on YouTube, on Twitch.tv. There's a picture of them, the picture of the game. I'd like to see you do it with Cuphead, by the way, so I can watch you play Cuphead. So do you use it for Let's Play videos, or what do you use it for?
So I'm trying to, stream, gameplay and other things. But my question is there a service out there that will allow me to stream my video across multiple platforms at the same time without having to set up an individual connection for each platform?
Yeah, and we do this ourselves, as you might have noticed. We stream this radio show. We stream the video and the audio. We stream the radio show's video on Twitch, on Ustream, on YouTube. We stream audio on TuneIn, and we do that all from one pipe. What we used to do when we first started years ago, I had about 8 Mac Minis, and we would take the signal and we would split it into the different Mac Minis. Each Mac Mini would be connected to a different service. That was not a very good way to do it. We also, right now, we use a piece of hardware that's ridiculously expensive, probably beyond any sensible person's purchase. It's called an Elemental. And it's really just a fancy PC that does what those 8 Mac Minis do. You feed it one stream, and it automatically logs into and sends your stream to a variety of services. But those can be very, very expensive. They're Elemental... John, tell me the name of the server-based. No, there's one, and the names escaped me, but there's a server-based way to do this. No, I can't remember. Now, the chat room's also saying Restream.io, which sounds like it'd be a little bit closer to your needs and certainly less expensive. But it says you can stream to 30-plus platforms simultaneously. So that sounds kind of interesting. Restream.io. I'm going to guess that behind the scenes they're using this server, which I, for the life of me, can't remember the name of. But there is a system that does this. You can run it on a regular server and it'll all do the restreaming. Really, the issue with this is that each stream requires its own encoding. And it's a lot of processor power. That's why the Elemental costs $25,000. It's just a fancy PC. Is it 25 or 30? Amazon bought them. Sad to say, the guy... Wowza, that's the one I was trying to think of. Wowza. That's a server-based solution and that I wouldn't be surprised if Restream is using. Wowza. Yeah, W-O-W-Z-A. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. More calls right after this. Thank you for remembering Wowza. I don't know why I couldn't remember it. Did you remember it?
Yes.
You're good.
When you said server-based.
Yeah. And they have a hardware solution now, too. Well, now that Vimeo has purchased Livestream, we have to look into...
Livestream, that's what I was trying to do.
Yeah, but we have to look into maybe using Vimeo as we do YouTube Live. So one of the advantages of using these systems is you can turn on another streamer like that. How many streams can our Elemental handle? 8?
I think so.
Yeah. Would you like to fly like an eagle? So would I. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888. Ask Leo, the phone number. Paul on the line from La Jolla, California. Hi, Paul.
Hi, Leo. I have a question for you. I only get 1.5 bars, and I'm dropping calls, and my provider said I need to get a cell tower booster to increase the signal. And I was wondering how much roughly they cost, or could I get it on the app for free?
So what it is technically, and you could Google this, is a femto cell, F-E-M-T-O cell, and all the carriers do these. It plugs into your internet, so it's no good having one unless you have good high-speed internet. 10 megabits at least down. And, actually down doesn't even matter. Really, you want 1 or 2 megabits up at least. And it takes the internet and it has inside of it like a mini cell tower, and it broadcasts. We actually have one here in the studio because a number of our employees use a carrier, T-Mobile, as it turns out, that doesn't work really well inside the building. You go outside, it works, but as soon as you get in the building, they can't use their phones. And I felt bad. So we called T-Mobile, and you should call your carrier and say, hey, I'm going to quit you. This is what you do. I'm going to quit you. I can't use you in my office, in my house. I cancel my account. And in most cases, what they'll say is, oh, you need a femtocell, and we're going to provide one for you free. In most cases, you can talk the carrier into giving you one, because without it, they're useless, right? So talk to the carrier, and they'll give you that signal booster for free. Don't buy one. You can, and they're expensive. We got ours for free from T-Mobile. Of course, we're a business, and there were many users, but it's my understanding that if you call the carrier and you work it right, say, I can't afford it, I don't want it, I don't need it, I'm going to get somebody else, maybe AT&T will help me, then they're going to go, oh, sir, I'm sorry, of course, we would want to give you a femtocell. You need a femtocell. It's, they don't call it a femtocell. It sounds like something. It's like a disease. They like, you've got femtocell carcinoma. Oh no, it's a what are they, extender or something like that. But it's a femtocell. Yeah, but don't pay for it, and it will solve the problem. It's kind of a miracle. Russell, Sacramento, California. Leo Laporte, Scranton, PA. I don't know what I was saying. Hi, Russell. How are you? Scranton.
Hi, Leo. This is Russell.
Yep.
Got a question. Long-time BlackBerry user, and
I'm sorry. I am so sorry.
I've finally given it up
Yeah.
for iPhone SE.
Okay, good choice.
The reason why I went to the SE is because of the small platform, easy to get in and out of the pocket.
Right. It has a headphone jack. Imagine that.
Yes.
Yes.
The great thing about the BlackBerry when I'm on the road is that I had an app on that called Tether, and it allowed me to USB cable from the BlackBerry to the laptop and communicate via the cellular network. And Tether is, as far as I can see, is no more in existence. I can't find them anymore.
Well, it's been replaced by, and on the iPhone you'll see it, hotspot. So instead of physically connecting your iPhone to your computer to give it internet access, you basically turn your iPhone into a Wi-Fi access point by turning on hotspot.
Okay. And what if your provider doesn't allow?
Then you're out of luck. Then you're out of luck. Yeah. So it is with the permission of the provider. It's a feature built into the iPhone. In fact, all phones do it. Many Android phones do tethering as well still. But the carrier has to support it. Sometimes carriers say no. More often they say, okay, but you're going to pay us extra, $20 a month extra for it. It just varies. Some carriers don't charge for it at all. T-Mobile doesn't. I think Verizon doesn't. I guess, who's your carrier?
Boost Mobile, which is a Sprint network.
Yeah. So Boost, as a reseller, a lot of times these resellers don't, it's not really even their fault. They'd like to do it, but Sprint says, no. You can't be as good as we are. There has to be things you can't do. And so that sounds like it's some deal like that.
What about a VPN?
So what is the thing you want to do? You want to get your computer on the internet using your cell phone service?
That's correct.
VPN isn't going to do anything.
The reason why is because I don't trust the hotels networks.
Yes. So then a VPN is a very good solution. Okay. So now you don't have to use your phone anymore. You can use the hotel's network, but you're protecting yourself on the hotel's network using a virtual private network. So there are many ways to do this. I carry with me, it's actually on my keychain, a little USB dongle. It's called a tiny hardware firewall. It plugs into either the USB port of my computer, or I could even plug it into a wall charger, the USB charger, or I could plug it into a battery. It just needs a little bit of power, powers up. I log into it from my computer, and then I use it to join the hotel's network. It now is without doing anything more, is now a firewall, which is in many cases, enough protection. It acts as if you're using a router on the hotel's network. That means anybody else on the network can't see you. They can only see your hardware firewall. But should you want to get another step of privacy by encrypting all the traffic using a VPN, you can turn that on. Just understand that when you use a VPN, there's overhead. It slows you down a little bit, but it's absolutely the best way to be secure. And so you can then use a hotel or a coffee shop Wi-Fi with impunity. You don't have to worry. It's just as secure as anything else. It's just as secure as being at home. And in fact, this little tiny hardware firewall goes one step farther. You can turn on, so it's a firewall. You can turn on VPN, but you can additionally turn on something called Tor, which anonymizes you. So it's a really kind of sophisticated little device. The doohickey itself is about $40. You can get a deal on it if you buy a year's worth of VPN service from that company, tinyhardwarefirewall.com. But there are lots of companies, TunnelBear, that do this. TunnelBear is a good software-only VPN. So you would log on to TunnelBear running their software on your laptop or your phone and still use the hotel's internet. But the hotel doesn't see anything you're doing. It's inside an encrypted tunnel.
Great.
So it does slow you down. It's got some overhead, but it is absolutely the recommended way to use a public Wi-Fi network. Very good idea. Highly recommend it.
Thank you very much.
My pleasure, yeah. And yeah, if tethering would work because instead of using the hotel, you're using your cell phone carrier, but your cell phone carrier has to support it. I use the hotspotting all the time on my iPhone. That's a very handy feature. That's another way to get internet access. In fact, I suspect this is why you're seeing fewer laptops with LTE built in or tablets with LTE built in, because everybody's already paying for, a cell subscription on their phone. They just use hotspot on their phone and do it. 8888 Ask Leo is the phone number. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, digital photography guru Chris Marquardt joins us. Stay here. Hey, we want to welcome a new sponsor to the podcast. It's Video Blocks by Storyblocks. We use this all the time, and I recommend it for anybody who needs clip art or video footage, high-quality HD videos, After Effects templates, motion backgrounds, over 115,000 studio-quality clips for you to use royalty-free, and I really think that's important. A lot of people, you see movies, you watch a movie, and I was just watching a movie the other day, and it said right there, video clips from Video Blocks. They don't film everything in a movie. They go to Video Blocks. You can do it too for your presentations. We use it, of course, all the time here for video clip art and that kind of thing. Go to videoblocks.com/techguy. We got a really good deal for you. I'm sure you've seen stock video companies like this before. But listen, get this. $149 a year. A year. All you can eat. 115,000 clips. Royalty free. You can use them for personal use or commercial use. Now and forever. Once you download it, it's yours to keep. They add new clips all the time. There's always fresh material. You save 40% on marketplace clips. The original artists take home 100% of the sale price. And you get access to over 5 million additional videos that are available to purchase directly from artists. If you need a quick soundbite, a quick image, a quick video, as you know, any blog post just comes to life if you give it a little video or a little image. Don't risk the quality of a project due to the high cost of acquiring footage. With Video Blocks, it's easy. No footage with an ugly watermark. You don't have to steal from a photographer. You can get it legitimately with fresh, delicious footage every day. 90,000 customers, including, as I mentioned, the biggies. NBC uses it, National Geographic, the History Channel, the Travel Channel. Video blocks, all the stock video you can imagine, just $149 a year. Go to videoblocks.com/techguy to get all the effects you need. Footage, backgrounds, After Effects. You want some lower thirds with fire, baby? You wonder how we get our lower thirds to come alive? Easy. Videoblocks.com/techguy. It's actually, for that price, it's just fun. It's just great to have. Slow motion, American flag on a windy day, Statue of Liberty, a multimedia wall. Ooh, look at this. This would be good for your lower third. Ooh. Bursting energy beam transition. I love it. Video. We use these stuff all the time. It's great. Videoblocks.com/techguy. We thank them for their support of the Tech Guy Show. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Time to talk to the photo guy. Chris Marquardt is here, our photography guru. Chris is a professional photographer, leads great workshops. You can find out more about those at discoverthetopfloor.com. And he joins us every week to help us be better photographers. Hey, Chris.
Hi there. How's it going?
Really well. You're as we talk, you're still at home in Germany, but you're about to head off to Italy. Another vacation?
It's a wild September. It's a second vacation in the same month. It is, in fact. I'm going to Tuscany in Italy, and I'm taking my parents.
Oh, how nice of you! Nice of you. Tuscany's wonderful.
So it'll be Monica, myself, and my parents.
How old
and
are
we'll
your
have
parents?
a little. They're 72 and 77.
Oh, they're young. Your parents are young.
And they are very active, and they love to travel. So Tuscany in fall is beautiful. It's just I love it there.
Are they photographers? Do they like to take pictures?
No, they're not. At least not as well to the extent that I am. I got my photography from, I don't even know. I'm self-taught. I just dug into this very early, and I never stopped digging, so that's why I'm here.
My mom and dad took pictures in those days with film and so forth. It was a lot more expensive to get serious about photography, but my dad always used slide film. We have thousands of slides from my childhood, and my mom took some beautiful, very artistic photos. I wish she'd done more. So maybe I inherited it a little bit. I certainly
wasn't your mom a painter?
She's an artist, yeah. So she's a painter. She's a silk screener. She knits strange things and felts them. That's her latest thing. Mom's watching, so
sounds cool.
Yeah, she does she's doing Santa Clauses now for.
Well, my mom does photography, but she does it for her cookbook website, because she has a German website about gluten-free food and eating.
You can't make German food without gluten.
Oh, you can. Yes, you can.
Okay.
She's been doing this for over 20 years, so
no kidding.
Yes, she can. She has over 1,000 recipes on there.
What's the website?
Well, it's glutenfrei-kochen.de. It's German, so it won't really help you anyway.
Yeah. All right.
But so she does take pictures of the food, and she's been on one of my workshops, so she now knows how to arrange things to make them look nice and what to look out for, and the lighting is okay and everything. So she's a bit of a photographer.
Nice. That's wonderful.
Now, what I wanted to talk about today is nothing to do with that.
I found your mom's website, by the way. You think I
could?
Oh, you did? You think I could?
There you go.
But I have, and we'll put a link in the show notes for those of you who speak German. There's your mom. Oh.
There she is. We even do a podcast about gluten-free food in German again. So
that's neat.
Yeah.
All right. I'm sorry. I distracted you.
It's a family project.
That's really cool. I never knew that. I've known you for years. I never knew this. So what is your topic of the day today?
Well, the thing I recently came across is something from the cinema, from the movies. And it, again, goes back to a question that I received from a listener of my podcast, Tips from the Top Floor. And he saw a scene in the movie The The Hateful Eight by Quentin Tarantino.
Oh, yes. And that was shot on 70 millimeter film.
It was shot on old cameras,
Yes.
Panavision,
Yep.
Ultra Panavision, with lenses from the 1960s.
Amazing.
That's what I found out.
And it looks
now,
gorgeous. My God, it's
it does,
gorgeous.
yeah. Now there's a couple of scenes in there where you see something really close and something really far in the same scene, but they're both in focus.
How does
And
it
if you
do
know
it?
anything about this kind of a camera and about these kind of lenses and about the format they're shooting on, that is very hard to pull off. Normally, you have to choose where the focus is. Is it close? Is it far? But it's typically never very close and very far at the same time.
Right.
So I was starting to dig into this and see what they've done. And one of my kind of specialities is to shoot with the so-called tilt shift lens, which can do these kind of things. So I thought they might have done this with a tilt shift lens, but then I looked into these old lenses from the 1960s, and it's like, probably not. And then you can, of course, do something like that with digital post-production, where you composite several shots, and you have a close and a far one, and you make them into one shot. But hey, this is Quentin Tarantino. So
He wouldn't do that. No tricks.
Probably hasn't done this.
No.
But what I found is that, and I went down a deep rabbit hole here. The solution is it's called a split diopter.
Oh.
Now, you can convert a regular lens, to a close-up lens by putting a diopter on it, by putting a lens on the front. It's just a regular screw-on lens. It's a magnifying glass pretty much. And then what they do is they just split that in half. So it is a half of a lens without anything and half of a regular lens. It's just lens cut through in the middle. And you will see that effect, if you know about it and you look closer, you will see this in all sorts of movies. Citizen Kane, in Carrie, in Blowout, in Jaws, in Close Encounters, in the Thing by Carpenter, in Jim Jarmusch movies, Mission Impossible.
It's kind of an older technique.
It is a technique that has been around for a long time, especially because they couldn't do the compositing back then, so they had to use that. Now, there is one problem zone in that split diopter, and that is that usually, as it's cut in the middle, you will have an out of focus area in the middle. You have a blurry line that goes through the middle.
Right. It's almost like you've got two lenses in one, really.
And they often have to hide this in either using the set, like there's a line through the middle of the shot, and so you can hide it there, or just ignore it, and people will just not really notice it.
So in a still camera, we would just use a small aperture to keep everything in focus. You can't do that with these movie cameras.
Well, the problem with movie cameras is they have to shoot their 24 frames per second. So you're the 24th of a second. If you don't have a lot of light, you have to work with a pretty open aperture, and this way you can get some split focus. The examples you're looking at there are not all split focus.
Yeah.
But here's one movie that I mean, it's a sci-fi classic. It's from 1971. It's called The Andromeda Strain.
Oh, love it. Michael Crichton.
Based on a book by Michael Crichton. That must be the most extensive use of a split diopter I've ever seen. There's a YouTube video. Someone chose their favorite 71 different shots with a split diopter. The movie has over 200 scenes filmed with a split diopter.
Who directed that? Wow.
Oh, that's a good question. I don't know that, but it is one of the most extensive uses of that, and it conveys an interesting sort of feeling. I've watched this movie several times without noticing, but just subconsciously noticing that something was a bit off, and that is what that movie wants to convey anyway. It's about a weird disease from space that takes over the world, and that split diopter does that. That gives you that thing that you don't usually get because you don't see these kind of shots normally. So split diopter, definitely something really cool to look into.
I understand it. It's like you have two different focal lengths on one lens by putting an extra lens in front of it, half of it. Mm-hmm. And so, wow, that's it's
a low-tech solution, isn't it?
It's amazing. What's amazing is that somebody noticed it and realized, well, you couldn't really do that with a camera. You'd have to do something special, and that's how they did it. It's kind of amazing. I love this.
And you can, of course, use that in photography as well. If you have a diopter, hey, cut it in half and careful though.
We'll put a link in the show notes to a website called Vashi Visuals where he talks about the split diopter shot in the Andromeda strain and shows the lens that they use to make it, and has a picture of all 206 split diopter shots.
You'll find that on YouTube as well.
Andromeda strain. That's wild.
Yeah.
Chris Marquardt, discoverthetopfloor.com. Have a great time in Italy, and we will see you. We'll be back next week on the Tech Guy Show. Thank you. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Don't forget our assignment, Shadows. Upload your pictures to our Flickr group, the Tech Guy group. More of your calls coming up right after this. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. 8888. Ask Leo. 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. and Canada. Manny on the line from Florida. Hello, Manny.
Hello, how are you today?
I'm great. How are you doing?
Wonderful. I think that was Kim Schaefer. I'd like to thank her for allowing me the privilege to talk to you. I haven't heard.
She's wonderful.
Yes, I haven't heard Heather Hammond's voice in a while.
Yeah, Heather's gotten pretty busy, so I think Kim is most days, and Heather fills in once in a while. But she was working 7 days a week, so we decided that was probably a little too much.
Yes.
Yeah. She needs a little time.
Go ahead.
She needs a little time off. But I love
absolutely.
Kim. We're blessed with two great people, so I can't lose.
Yes, absolutely. I haven't been listening to you since the screensaver days, but I've been listening to you for about 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
I have a 2017 LG 4K TV, but it's not an OLED.
Okay.
And I have a Samsung 4K a Blu-ray player. It's the first year's model. And on both of them, when I try to use the web browser to look up something online, it always tells me the web browser is out of date.
Yeah, it is. Guess what? It is. When's the last time you got a browser update on your TV?
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
And I have not found any good YouTube videos on how to solve that.
I don't think you can. I think you have to. That's ridiculous, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah. I don't know of any way to update that browser. And you're right. A lot of sites will reject you at this point because it's probably not even Chrome or Firefox or Internet Explorer. It's probably a Samsung browser. I use a Samsung.
Actually,
is it? What is it?
Well, the LG is Google Chrome.
Oh, it is Chrome.
I think the Samsung is too. I think
You're more likely to get an update on the LG because LG is running. I think it's running Palm OS on that TV. It is on my LG, and that is a real operating system and presumably updatable. Don't think the Blu-ray player is going to get a browser update anytime soon, but it is possible the LG will.
And that just automatically does it?
Well, it would fix it. Yeah, you can get to some sites, right?
Yeah, you can do that, but when I see
this all the time, and it really annoys me because people shouldn't be designing sites that require new browsers. I mean, the internet's the internet, but there you go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I have one more question for you.
Sure. You're
I about really cringed when I heard Leo say, I'm going to sell all my Sonos equipment. I have Sonos. I have the Play Bar, I have 2 Play 3s, and the Sub. And what I did was I went into the Sonos app, and I set up all my favorites.
Yeah.
And then Harmony Hub works very, very well with Sonos. And so I sunk it to the Harmony Hub, and then your Echo sunk that with that, and I can just say, hey, turn on Rick James.
I do love that. Yeah.
Yes, and so the voice for me works very well.
So when you say turn on Rick James to your Harmony Hub, what is it? So it's telling the Sonos to play. It works with the Sonos to play Rick James on the Sonos?
Yes, it's wonderful.
I have to try that.
Yeah, and I have it set up for. Okay, that one right there is linked to the iHeart Radio, so it'll turn on Rick James. A radio station?
You have to have a provider, obviously, that has Rick James, but yeah, okay.
Yeah, and then I do it with the what's the other one? Starts with the P.
Pandora. Yeah, Pandora.
I do that.
Yeah.
And also with my Amazon Prime Music, I can just set it to play any like, for instance, Eugene Groove. He's a jazz player. I can just play all his music. Just say, hey, turn on Eugene Groove, and it just plays it through the Sonos. And you can have it set to where the level you want it to start at, it'll turn on at that level, and then you can adjust it from there.
Well, I'll be diggity dang. I'm going to go home and try that.
Yes, it's wonderful.
I've used the Harmony Hub in the other direction to have, turn on TVs and stuff. I didn't realize you could use it with Sonos. Now, I was joking when I said I'm going to sell my Sonos. I just worry because Sonos is getting lapped a little bit by Amazon, and the real fear for me is because it's, I think, a little overlap in the market is Apple's HomePod, which is coming out in December. I feel like that may be everything the Sonos should be with voice control.
Yes, it should be, absolutely. But Harmony does a wonderful job working with Echo. I mean, with Sonos, and then when you link that to your Echo, it's just amazing.
So the Harmony Hub sees the Sonos system, and so it gives you voice control of the Sonos system.
Yes, when you go into your Harmony and set up an activity, all you want to do when you go into your activity, just click on your Sonos and nothing else.
I'll be darned. I did not know that. I will do that tonight.
Yes, and then when the next step in your Harmony Hub, then it'll. But you have to go into your Sonos and set your favorite stations first.
Yes, you have to select the defaults because you can't select it from the Harmony Hub. I understand
exactly,
that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it works wonderful. The only thing I haven't figured out yet, and this isn't Sonos related, is on my LG TV, I can set favorite radio stations to my Harmony Hub, but I can't set the TV stations, but I can't set like the Amazon. Well, Amazon and there's another one that's set in the settings in the that you can do. Like if you go to Hulu and stuff like that, you can't set those ones from your TV. You have to have a Roku box or something else to set those, and I can't figure that one out. If you're getting what I'm trying to say to you.
Yes, I do, and I don't know either, but I'm going to start playing with that a little bit. So there's a Harmony skill on the Echo, and so I know about that. But I didn't realize is Harmony also recognizes Sonos. That's
yes,
that's very nice.
Yes, it's very nice.
Harmony Hub is a really cool device. It's a doohickey, looks like just a smooth round river stone. It's $99. It has infrared and a variety of other ways to control devices, and it's cool. You use the Harmony Hub app on your smartphone to control it, and it can control everything in your TV unit. Using infrared. It really works quite well. It's quite impressive.
It's wonderful because I have a hook to my Philips Hue lights, and for my stove, I get in late at night, and so I have the stove light dimmed. So when I walk through the kitchen, I can see, and then I can just click it off with my remote control when I go to bed. It's wonderful.
Manny, you're living in the future.
I'm trying. That's because Leo Laporte.
Oh, but you're way ahead of me. I'm going to run to catch up with you up there in the future. Yeah, I think really the talking to your stuff is a very natural thing. I don't think voice interfaces at work, on the bus, in public, where other people are around, I don't know if those are going to take off because you look like you're nuts. Of course, I used to say that with Bluetooth headsets. You'd see people walking down the street talking, animatedly, and you'd think, that person's crazy. And in the old days, they would have been. But really, what they were doing is talking on the phone. You just couldn't see a phone. I guess we'll get used to that maybe with voice in our phones and our watches and all that stuff. But in the house, hey, who cares? You look crazy. And it's really great.
Absolutely.
It's really great. Yeah. I love it.
Yes. Leo, keep up the awesome work.
Thanks,
People
Manny.
like you make my life wonderful.
I appreciate it. Well, you just did the same for me. I really I'm going to try that tonight when I get home. The Harmony Hub is really kind of a remarkable product, especially because it's so inexpensive. At $99, it's much less than the other Harmony universal remotes that they were selling. And it seems to really work a lot better. The only negative is you don't have a remote. You have to use your smartphone as the interface to the Harmony Hub. By the way, we will find out something this week. Sonos is having an event. Unfortunately, it's the same day Google has its event. There's gonna be a lot going on Wednesday, October 4th. Google in the morning will announce its new phones, the Pixel phones, and the rumors are maybe a new Google Pixel Chromebook, which is hotly awaited from us Chromebook aficionados. And they might even announce a new Pixel tablet. I'd like to see that. But we don't know. Google has some interest. Haven't been a lot of rumors about this one. I feel like Google has done a good job keeping the lid on it. And there have been zero rumors about Sonos, but I don't know if that's because Sonos does such a good job keeping it secret or just nobody cares. But Sonos is apparently going to have an event as well on October 4th in New York City. And we will see. My suspicion is that this is when they'll finally announce voice control of the Sonos speaker. Sonos is a system that maybe you've heard me talk about before. I really like, but it's very, very pricey. They're wireless speakers that you can put in every room of the house. They can work together or separately. They're a great way to stream internet radio. I'm a big fan, but they've been falling behind with Amazon and Microsoft and everybody else. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. You know what I really used when I was in France is my tracker. Holy cow, that is a lifesaver. I got one. So what I finally figured out that it's not just my key. Well, one thing I do is I saved. I shouldn't have done this. They're not expensive, but I put the tracker Pixel on my keys, right, like this, because I detach my car keys and my YubiKey. This is my login device. I frequently detach it from my keychain here. So I don't want to lose that. But then when it's on my keychain and now they're chained into my briefcase, so in effect, I'm doing double duty. I've got the tracker on my keys and on my briefcase, but then I put one in my passport wallet because I don't want to lose that. Put one in my suitcase. Oh, I probably should explain what I'm talking about. The tracker. The tracker is a Bluetooth tracking device that lets you find your stuff wherever it is. What you do is not GPS, by the way. People, I think, sometimes think this is a GPS device. It's not. What this is a Bluetooth device that pairs to your phone. The software, actually, I've got the new iPhone. I don't know if the tracker software transferred over or not. Let's just see. I mean, I know the software's on here, but I don't know if I'm logged in. Let's see if it works. Oh, yeah, I am. So there's my key. That's cool. So there's my key. It says, here's what it was last seen. It's never paired before, so now it's going to pair. So it sees where it's last seen, which actually is right here, right next to me. But the beauty of this is if I start to walk away from my keys, my phone goes, hey, you left your keys behind. If I walk away with my keys and leave my phone behind, my keys go, hey, you left your phone behind. And then watch this. If I can't find my keys, I press this button on the tracker device. You hear that? And my keys, not only do they make noise, 90 decibel, they light up like that. So this is the tracker Pixel. It's got little LEDs in it, so I can find that anywhere. Let me stop that. And if I can't find my phone, there's a little button on the. I don't know if this is going to work on the new. Oh, it did. Even if the phone's silenced, it's going to make noise on the phone. So all of that's great. But what happens when you get out of Bluetooth range, right? You're 30 meters, 100 feet away from your keys. You keep walking. You didn't hear the siren go off or anything, and you left your keys. Let's say I'm in Monaco, at the casino in Monaco, and I put my keys down on the craps table, and then I walked away. Well, if I didn't notice, and I'm back at the hotel, I could fire up the tracker map on my phone. It would show me the last place I saw the keys, Monaco. But worse, what if then some guy from Indianapolis is there and says, oh, look, a Tesla key, picks it up, puts it in his pocket, and goes back to Indianapolis. Now, the phone's not going to know, except, this is so brilliant. The tracker folks have something they call the crowd GPS network. It turns out anybody who's running the tracker software is always keeping their eyes peeled for other trackers. And since they've sold more than 5 million trackers all over the world, no matter where you go, this is the map of existing trackers, Monaco's well covered. No matter where you go, Indianapolis too, if somebody walks by your keys with the tracker on their app, they'll notify you. They'll say, hey, we just saw your keys in Indianapolis. So you get updated automatically. That is super, super cool. You'll never lose anything again. It's perfect for people like me. I'm always losing my keys. You go to thetracker.com and use the promo code TechGuy, and you will get 20% off your order. You'll see you can get the new Tracker Pixel, which is the one I was showing you with the LEDs that light up. But of course, the original Tracker Bravo is in there. I use that too. That's the anodized aluminum one. That's really cool. But they have a lot of other products too. So load it up. The Tracker Wallet, which is a like credit card size tracker that fits right in your wallet. The Tracker Atlas for indoor locations. You can, by the way, you can use it with your Amazon Echo. You could say, "Hey, where are my keys?" I just love this. You can ring your iPad. There's so many great things about Tracker. I want you to go to the Tracker, TheTracker.com. This is going to be the hardest thing to find all day. The Tracker website, TheTracker.com. And don't forget, once you load up your basket with all the different Tracker doohickeys you want, use the offer code TechGuy to save 20% off. Incidentally, no risk, 30-day money-back guarantee on everything they sell, so you literally have nothing to lose, especially your keys. TheTracker.com. Use the offer code TechGuy. Offer code TechGuy. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. Time to talk tech, computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography, smartphones, smartwatches, all that jazz. 8888, home automation. We'll talk about that too. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. If you have a question, a comment, a suggestion, a correction. We also have a great website where you can leave your comments and suggestions. I like it if you call, but if you don't have time or you just want to throw in your 2 cents, go to techguylabs.com. Everything we do on the show is there, written up, but you can also watch the video, listen to the audio. We put that up after the fact. You see what other people say. You can add your comments, and it's free. There's no sign up. It's just techguylabs.com. It's a good thing to keep in mind all week long. If you've got questions, it's a great resource. techguylabs.com. Let's see. Moving on to line 3 now, and that's Kirk in Crestline, California.
Hello, Leo.
Thanks for hanging on, Kirk.
You bet. Hey, my question is, we're going on vacation to American Samoa, and we're taking our phones, of course, and I need a international plan.
Yeah. So this is the good news on this is T-Mobile created some competition, and all the other big U.S. carriers have followed suit. So T-Mobile started this. They're owned partly by Deutsche Telekom, the German telecom, and they were able to make deals in almost every country where you can use your T-Mobile phone in those countries and get free data and free international texting. You still pay for calls a little more, but it's only 20 cents a minute, which doesn't add up to too much. You obviously don't want to go on for hours, but a 5-minute call costs you $1. So I like that, and so I always take a T-Mobile phone when I travel. The other one I really like is Google's own service, which is a kind of a potpourri of 3 different services, U.S. Cellular, Sprint, and T-Mobile. And they basically charge you the same as if you were at home for data, $10 a gigabyte, and texts are free, and then, again, 20 cents a minute for calls. So both of those work pretty well. T-Mobile says we won't give you full speed internet when you're overseas, and that's true. Sometimes it's 2G, sometimes it's 3G, sometimes it's LTE, but it's never quite as fast as when you're at home. But the fact that it's free and unlimited makes it pretty desirable. Now, if you're not a customer of Fi, Google's Fi, or T-Mobile, you can call AT&T, because once T-Mobile did this, AT&T, Sprint immediately followed suit, and Sprint has a very similar program they called One World. You have to sign up for it. It's not automatic, but you can call them. AT&T has a pretty good plan as well. They have a daily pass now. I can't remember what it is. It's $10 a day, I think, and it gives you much of the same capabilities. Verizon has always been the one that's hardest to use overseas, but even they've been responsive to competition. So the good news is, well, who's your carrier right now?
Verizon.
Yeah, it's not too bad. But you can. It's not as good as maybe the other deals. But you can call them and say I'm going overseas and find out what they charge you. The real cost. You're not going to probably make a lot of phone calls. You don't because you're overseas. Now you're in American Samoa. So what I'm not familiar with is the carrier situation there. Do they have American carriers, or are there different carriers?
I don't know. I'd have to call somebody over there. She's girlfriend's got family there. So.
You don't have to call if you don't want to, because I'm going to give you a website. I always tell travelers about this website. It's a wiki, which means that people contribute to it. So when people go overseas, they give you the latest information. They say, I was able to get this €30 thing from 3. It worked really well, that kind of thing.
Okay.
Just Google, because it's a long address. But if you Google prepaid with data wiki, prepaid with data wiki, it originally started as a support for people who would prepay for a SIM card in country and what you would get and what it would cost. But now it talks about all of this stuff, and it's very useful. You can figure out what the cost would be in any country. You can just go to American Samoa and see what the providers are, what it would cost to get a SIM in that country, and so forth. Somebody's telling me that Verizon now does the same as AT&T. So you pay a daily rate, $10, I think, and it's a good deal because you can use as much as you want.
All right.
It's not a good deal if you're going to be there for months.
No, we're going to be 2 weeks.
2 weeks, not too bad.
$140.
Yeah, that's it's T-Mobile. It's free, but $140. It's not too bad. Not too bad. Yeah.
And I had another question.
Yes.
I have a Samsung S5. I got a really fat SD card on there, and I have no idea how to put any data or photos or anything else on it.
So the way Android works on phones that support SD cards, those are the external cards or micro SD cards that you put into the phone. The way it works generally is after you put the card in, the first time you launch the camera, it'll say, I see you have an SD card. Do you want me to store photos there? Now, if it doesn't do that, you can usually go in the camera settings and it'll say, where do you want me to put photos? There are usually limitations. The SD card isn't going to be as fast as internal storage. So in some cameras, the burst mode photos will always be on internal storage, but individual photos will be on the SD card, things like that. Same thing should happen with your music player and many other applications that have large files. I'm thinking of my audiobook company, Audible. I'm a big fan of Audible, and in the Audible app you can say, when you download books, don't put them on my main storage. That's limited. Put them on the SD card.
Okay, well, I'm looking at the storage data, device storage, portable storage.
Yep.
How do I transfer from the device storage to portable storage?
Don't do it by hand. That's a recipe for disaster.
Okay.
So do you see the contents of the card, or sometimes you need to format it the first time you put it in the phone?
Right now it says 516 megs used out of 120.
Good. 120 gigs.
Right.
Good. So it's seeing the card, it's not used. So the best way to do this is not to move stuff, but go into the camera app and say, please store photos and videos on the SD card. In some apps, it will say, like the Audible app, would you like me to move all your stuff over there? And it'll do it for you. You can't. You could do it. There are file manager apps that you can get on Android, like Astro or ES-File, that you can use to move files around. But I don't recommend it because it confuses the heck out of Android. You can get permissions issues. It's better, if at all possible, to let the program that's going to create those files and use those files do it for you. If it doesn't, then, for instance, with the camera app, go into the settings, say store photos on the SD card, take a picture. That will automatically create the folder structure you need. Then download a program like Astro, or you can use Samsung's My Files, and navigate around till you find that SD card, which is not easy. Okay. It's in like emulated /0/SD card. Android is... In fact, all phones do this. It doesn't work the way a computer does when it comes to external storage. But if you find that folder, you could then manually take things out of the photo folder on the internal storage and move them over to that new folder. But you got to let the camera app create the folder first.
Okay. Now, I've never formatted the SD card.
Might not be a bad idea. If there's nothing on it right now, I would format it first.
Okay.
And as soon as you format it, that may be all that's lacking. And next time you launch the camera, it'll say, now I see it.
Okay. I'll do that.
Okay.
All righty.
Have fun.
I'm going to try.
Yeah. American Samoa.
Yeah, and we're going to hit the western side, too. She's got family over there, too.
Fun.
Yeah.
It's tropical, right?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it sounds wonderful. When are you going?
The 23rd this month.
Okay. Google, I can do it, Google prepaid with data. And let me just look. I can look for you with data and just see who the carriers are there. Okay. It's on Fandom, prepaid SIM card wiki, I think they call it. And you can just go by countries and see.
So I just show up there, buy a...
Well, that's one way to do it. The reason I don't do that, the reason I'm always talking about, well, what does Verizon or AT&T or T-Mobile do, is then you keep your phone number. Okay. Everything's the same, and if the deal is a good deal, go for it. But if it's not a good deal, yes, you can buy data in country. You'll just get a new phone number. Or, and they talk about this on the website as well, you can get one of those MiFi wireless access points, and that works pretty well, and you keep your phone number. So check the website. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Do, 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 do. 8888 Ask Leo, the phone number, and Chip is on the line from Corona Del Mar, California. Hey, Chip.
Hi, Leo. How you doing?
I'm great. How are you?
I just got a Note 8. Actually, my second Note 8. The first one, the selfie camera wouldn't focus.
Oh, nuts.
And my old phone, I have about 464 apps on it. The photos I can handle pretty easily, but what is the best way, and I also have like 400 contacts, what is the best way to transfer my contacts and my apps from my old phone to the new phone?
You're asking the right guy, because more than any normal human, I am always transferring over to a new phone, right? Every time a new phone comes out, I have to buy it. So I'm sitting in front of 3 phones right now, and I'm going to get another one next week and another one after that. So I'm an expert. I've gotten to the point where I could set up a new phone in just, like an hour, and it's ready, and it's just as good to go as if I'd had it for years. So here's what I recommend. There are a couple of handy tools here. First of all, both Samsung and Google will back up your data. Is your previous phone a Samsung phone?
No, it was an HTC One Max.
Okay.
The big one.
Okay. I think even if it wasn't a Samsung phone, when you first get your phone, did it say, oh, do you want to copy your data from an old phone? Because the way Android will do that, you put the 2 phones back to back, the NFC chips recognize each other, and some, but not all of the data will be copied over. If you're going from a Samsung phone, Samsung actually has its own free backup service that will back up everything. But Google does this also. So if you go into the settings, and, I can't remember where Samsung puts it because, in default Android, it's in the reset and backup. But let me just see where Samsung puts this. But Google will back up your settings, including Wi-Fi passwords and things like that. Yeah, it's under Cloud and Accounts. Okay, that's where Samsung puts it. And you can see that it will offer you a backup to both Samsung and Google backup. But the Google backup, if you don't have a Samsung account, you just turn on Backup My Data, you choose your Google account, and then you turn on Automatic Restore. Now, what it doesn't back up is the actual app, but it does back up a list of the apps. So what will happen when you set up the new phone, you restore your backup. And actually, you'll do that automatically when you first set up the new Note 8. It'll say, what's your Google account? You say, well, my Google account is xyz@gmail.com. And then it will say, do you want us to restore your backup? And you say, yes. This will get you a long way towards it. It doesn't do the apps, but what it does do is it starts downloading them. And actually, if you think about it, that's what the iPhone does too. That's a better way to do it because you want the latest copy of the app. You don't want the copy of the app you had. You want to make sure everything's fresh. So it'll re-download from the Play Store all the apps. At that point, you're pretty good to go. The one thing you don't have is your desktop setup, where all your icons are, if you have folders, if you've set up widgets. That you have to do by hand. My recommendation there, though, is to not use the Google launcher, but to use a third-party launcher. Nova launcher, which is the most popular, and the one I use is called Action Launcher, and ADW is another one, will allow you to save your complete desktop configuration to Google Drive or Dropbox or somewhere, and then you can reload it. and you'll get 90% of the way towards your desktop setup as well. So with all of that, if depending on the bandwidth for downloading those apps, it takes me very little time to get back and running.
What actually does a launcher do?
So, iPhone people are going, what are you talking about? Launcher, what is that? Well, if you think about any computer, the thing that you see isn't really the operating system. When you're using Windows, you're not really using Windows. You're using something Microsoft calls Explorer, which is a program, believe it or not, running on top of Windows that gives you an interface, the menus, the folders, access to files, all of that stuff. That's Explorer. On a Macintosh, it's called Finder. And on a phone, you have that too. So even if you're using an iPhone, you're using, we call them on phones instead of, launcher or instead of Finder or Explorer, we call them a launcher. The iOS launcher is called Springboard, and Apple, because it's Apple, doesn't let you use anything but their launcher. That's one of the things I really wish Apple would do, but I understand why they don't. This way, everybody uses an iPhone is using exactly the same interface. One of the reasons people like Android phones is because you can have it any way you want, any flavor you like. So you can download a launcher from the Google Play Store. Again, Nova Launcher is the most popular, but I like Action Launcher. They have free versions, and if you want a few more features, you give them a few extra bucks. It's usually not more than $5 or $6, and it will unlock them. And then you can customize your your interface to your heart's desire. I'm not a fan of the Pixel, the Google default Pixel launcher, that particularly. It's fairly inflexible and doesn't have that nice feature of being able to back up your setup, but Action Launcher does. Plus, it has some additional nice features that I've really come to depend on. So I'm a big fan of Action Launcher. But again, it's a very personal decision. That's one of the great things about Android. You don't have to use the default launcher. You can use a variety of third-party launchers, which give you a completely different look and feel. For instance, I'm not crazy about Samsung's launcher. It's not the Google Pixel launcher. Samsung calls theirs. I can't remember. They've changed the name. I can't remember what they call it currently. But they have their own look and feel. I actually don't use that, but you could. And you can easily switch. The default launcher is set up in the apps settings. It's one of the default apps. You choose which launcher you want to use, or they call it a home screen. So
if I wanted to switch back, would it wreck anything? Or?
Nope. You switch right back. I'm going to switch back right now. I just switched back to TouchWiz. That's the Samsung launcher. Now it's TouchWiz. And the phone looks completely different. The icons are different. The setup is different. But I can go back into settings and say, I decided I don't like that. Let me try Nova Launcher. Let me try Action Launcher. Let me try some other launcher. You can have multiple launchers on there and have a different look every day of the week if you like being confused. So it's anybody who uses Android should absolutely try this because it's really nice to customize your phone exactly to your look and feel. Go ahead.
One last question concerning my contacts. Somewhere along the way, something tried to sync something, and this is one of the problems. You can't tell whose sync it is.
I know.
And now, for a lot of my contacts, I have the exact same phone numbers.
They're duplicated. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very I hear this all the time. Syncing is hard. And as soon as you add another source, there's always the risk that the source will look like, even though it's the same person, that's a new contact, and it'll add it as a second contact. And there's really no good fix for this except to kind of sit down and pick one source for your definitive contact list. It can be any one of these. Go through it, clean it up, export it, save it before you do any syncing so you can go, if something goes wrong, you can go back to it. And then delete the contacts everywhere else and sync it, and everything will be back to normal again. And then periodically back up a good copy of it so that if this happens, and it will, you can always go back to the good copy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. There is, just to be complete on this, Google Contacts and many other contacts programs have a merge duplicate contacts feature. So if you go into Google Contacts, you'll find that you can take those duplicates and merge them together. But that sometimes has less than ideal results because it sometimes mushes them together a little bit. So, you might, I don't know, occasionally I'll get a mix-up phone number, things like that. But it does help clean up.
Okay. I could also just throw away a whole lot of people.
Well, It's also an opportunity to clean out your contact list. Literally on my vacation, 2 different people came up to me and said, I have triple contacts. Syncing is just a nightmare because there's no accepted way to say this is the definitive contact. Those are just, the rest of them are duplicates. So rather than delete anything, any syncing program is going to say, well, I can't tell if it's the same, so I'm just going to give you an extra one. I know, it's nice, isn't it? It's very friendly.
That's one of the great things about you, Leo. I'd always get one step closer.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
1 step forward, 2 steps back. It's called technology. Yeah. Hey, it's nice to talk to you. Thanks for calling.
Thank you, sir.
Take care. Bye-bye. Leo Laporte, the tech guy on the phone. Brian from Nashville, Tennessee. Hi, Brian.
How are you doing?
I am well. How are you?
Hanging in like a hair in a biscuit.
Yeah, again. You get me every time. Every time, Brian. I'm going to make a note. Don't ask Brian how he's doing. I got to write that down. Okay. What can I do for you?
Well, quick thing about Tracker. I know this is going to sound like you paid me, but you didn't. By the way, I bought the 8-pack.
I should explain, because the radio audience is going, what is he talking about? The Tracker is a sponsor of the podcast of this show, and they make a little Bluetooth dongle you can put on your keys or whatever and keep it from getting lost. So you bought 8 of them.
Well, they had an 8-pack. I used your 20%.
Nice.
And watching you do that reminded me I had not put one on my backpack, which has has my Mac in it and everything when I work from a coffee house or wherever.
When I travel, man, I put these in everything because it's easy to leave stuff behind.
Well, I have one in my wallet, one in my backpack.
Good man.
And one on my keys. But the biggest thing that I like about them that I haven't had to do yet, but I'm assuming it's easy. It looks like it's real easy. I hated about the competitor that I was using right before this. I won't say their name, Tile.
I know what you're going to say. The batteries die and they're not replaceable. You have to throw the Tile out.
Yeah, I was throwing it away.
Ridiculous.
And they wanted $29 for another one. And I'm like, no, just one?
The price isn't even the worst part. I just feel like it's offensive to make a device with a battery in it. When the battery runs out, you put this in the landfill. That's just offensive.
Right. So
the Tracker is good. The thing I like about the Tracker, it uses those, standard little coin batteries you get at the drugstore. Depending on the Tracker, I think it's a CR2025 or something like that. But it's easy. You just use a paper clip or something. You pop it open, put in a new one, pop it back.
Yeah, I heard my wife cuss for the first time when she walked away, leaving her phone at the table.
Yeah,
the other way around, and and the thing went off, and she's like, "Oh, you forgot your phone, didn't you?" She says, "This is annoying." I said, "Yeah, but at least you didn't lose your phone." Anyway,
I would understand if the Tile were a lot smaller maybe than the Tracker, and that's why you couldn't replace the battery. But it's actually bigger.
Oh, they make a thinner one than that.
Yeah,
but it's bigger.
Yeah,
it's like 2 by 2 inches. It's huge, but it's
I don't understand it.
Didn't matter. You had to throw them away.
Yeah, that bugs me.
Yeah. Anyway, the last time I called you, I was asking you about tags, and I told you I'd call back. I found 2 solutions that I'm just so far, because remember...
let me catch people up here, Brian. So tags is a very useful tool for organizing stuff. You apply think of it as a filing system. We sometimes call it taxonomy, which is really making it even more complicated than it needs to be. But on emails, which is one thing Brian uses tags for, if you say, I get an email that is for work, and it's something I have to do, and it has to be done by Wednesday, you might tag it with work to do Wednesday, and that way you can search. It basically simplifies searching. So tags are very, very useful. You see them everywhere. Google uses them in Gmail and so forth. And last time we talked, you were looking for an email program that had nice tagging features.
Yes, and you suggested one. However, it was a little hardcore for even though I'm a system administrator. I didn't want to go that rough.
I know. I use very hardcore email programs. It was ridiculous.
Right.
I don't know
I
why.
thought AirMail 3 would have some solutions to it. They didn't.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm back to mail, but I found a product called Mail Tags.
Oh, I should have mentioned Mail Tags. Of course. That's been around for years. You like it?
I never knew it was around. It's a company called Small Cubed, and it's working great.
I had that years ago. I forgot about mail tags. I wish I had remembered. I would have told you. I'm glad you found it.
It integrates right into mail, so I can.
And they've kept it up to date, because one of the things that's hard for companies like these smaller companies like Small Cubed is Apple changes mail every single version of the operating system of OS X. So they have to constantly update it. But it is still working with mail from Mac OS.
Yes, not
High
only
Sierra.
that, but before High Sierra came out, they had beta that if you wanted to use. I was using their beta for, I haven't called you in a month, I think. I was using their beta until it was released, and that kept it working. So far, so good.
This is a good company. I'm really thrilled that they still make this. That's great. Mail tags.
Yes.
It's smallcubed.com.
Right. So I'm using that. So far, so good. It works great. It fully integrates in. You can make your own rules. So you can use rules that do, when it integrates in, when you create rules for your mail, it includes the tags.
Yep.
So it's just awesome.
Nice.
Now, the other thing that you never get it in is your photos on your iPhone.
Right. Non-textual stuff really needs tagging, because you can't search inside a photo, so you've got to tag it if you're going to organize it in any way.
And here's what's weird. They used to have the tags, and then they took them out. I don't know why. And I can't remember what version it was, but they used to have the tags in, and they took it out. Now all you can do is heart it.
Yeah, that's terrible, because now I do that, but then you have a giant hearted favorites folder.
Right. Well,
yeah.
I found something called hash photos.
Sounds
hash photos. Yeah.
Interesting. Yes.
And not only does it let me fully edit them just like you would do in the regular photo package, but you can tag them with as many tags as you want, and it uploads. And now, obviously, it has to do this on its own little mini database. You have to run the program to see the tags. You don't see them in regular photos.
And this is for iOS, right? This isn't for the Mac.
Yeah, this is for iOS.
Okay.
This is what I'm doing on my iPhone 7 Plus. Okay. Is now, instead of running photos, I use hash photos. And as soon as I'm done with all my tagging, I simply upload the update, so that when I open my iPad, it syncs, and every tag that I did
That's
with
awesome.
the phone it also updates on the iPad. So
two excellent tips for people who love tags: hash photos and mail tags. Hash photos is on the App Store. It's free by Beyond F. Now, I have to say there's a deep philosophical debate on all this. If you ask Google, for instance, they'll say, well, you don't really need tags anymore, because Google Photos uses artificial intelligence to automatically categorize your photos. And if that works for you, it really is easy. You can type, in Google Photos, dogs, and it will give you every picture you have of a dog, including a couple of giraffes, and in my case, one cat. But,
that
helps.
80 to 90% of the time, that's great. But the problem is, it never fails that 10 to 20% of the time when I really need it to work is something critical, and it doesn't work.
Yeah, that's true.
When
it's a trade-off, because when you're doing tagging, you've got to be religious. You got to do it every single time. And somebody like you, obviously, Brian, you're so used to it, it's just automatic.
Oh, I'm one of those. I don't want to say I've OCD, but I'm just one of those ones. When I take a bunch of pictures, at the end of every day, I'm deleting what's in there, and I'm tagging what I took.
That's my wife. And me, I just put it all in a giant shoebox, put it in the closet, and never think about it again.
Yeah,
but for me, Google Photos is a boon, because I'm not disciplined enough to do what you do, which is probably the best thing to do. But at least I can get 90 or 80 or even 70% of the way there by just, instead of a shoebox, dumping it into Google Photos. And I have to say, we got back from our vacation. The day we got back, Google Photos said, we've made an album for you with a map and pictures and locations and all the information. And it wasn't perfect, but it was a lot better than anything I was going to do.
Yeah, I'm just not a Google person.
No, it's a debate. There are two kinds of people who use tagging and people who don't. And Google's really trying to provide an alternative for people who don't. Thank you, Brian, for two excellent tips. I love it when we get tips from our listeners. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. We'll put the links to both of those up on the website, techguylabs.com. I'll show you the... I uploaded a bunch more pictures today, and I'm wondering if it made a new album. So one way to do it is this, which is the manual album I made. I let Google do the beginning, and then I kind of went back and I messed with it. But I haven't had time to do this. So Google took, this is all programmatic. This is automatic. It named it and everything. Trip to France. Hey, it's a good name. It put the location information in. Here you are at Heathrow Airport. It put a map of the flight. I didn't do this. This is all done by Google. And then here we are in Monaco, and here's the Monaco pictures. So everywhere we went, now the one thing it does, I don't know if it's using all the pictures or if it's not, but it looks like these are all the pictures. But the thing is, everywhere we went, it would, if you went somewhere new, it would put a tag in there, a location tag. And then if you go really far, it puts in a little map. So then we went to Arles from Nice, and here's the pictures from Arles. Then went to the Camargue National Regional. And so it just does this all automatically, Avignon. So that's pretty good for someone like me who really isn't going to ever organize it. But I agree, it's not as good as doing it by hand. But boy, I have to say, that's very convenient. Very convenient. And then I can also do things like search for pictures of cheese. Grommet. And there will be all the pictures. Well, I guess it's not all the pictures, but some of the pictures of cheese. That's not cheese, by the way. That's a steak, but it looks cheesy. What else? Horses. How about horses? Are there any horses in my pictures? A horse is a horse, of course. And no one can talk to a horse. See, that's not a horse. It's a canoe that looks like a horse, I guess. But here's pictures of horses. Now, I didn't tag those horses. They just knew. It does make some mistakes. If I do cats, sometimes there'll be things other than cats in there. But a lot of them will be cats. I have a lot of cat pictures. Actually, these are all cats. I hate cat pictures. Oh, that's a dog. There's a dog and a cat. Don't be fooled by that cat. He's vicious. You think I should do unindicted co-conspirators? Huh? Let's see. Unindicted co. You think I'll find anything? That'd be funny if I did. I didn't spell it right. Indicted, unindicted. Well, conspiratores, nothing. How about crooks? No results. There are no crooks. How about, all right, give me a tag. So prove that this is not fake. Snow. Pictures of rocks that look like snow and actual snow. That's pretty good. 8888 Ask Leo. Last segment of the show. How fast this goes. It's crazy. Perry, Ocean Beach, California is next. Hi, Perry.
Hey, how you doing today, Leo?
I am very well. How are you?
I'm doing very well, thanks. Hey, listen, it's been a couple times since we talked, and you always seem to at least help point in the right direction if you don't find the exact answer.
I will try.
And I'm hoping you can help me on something.
All right.
I have a Netgear C6900 cable modem wireless router.
All right.
And I've been doing some research, and it seems like it just drops the internet occasionally.
Yeah.
And it just stops for 10 seconds or 20 seconds or something like that, and then comes back.
How old is it?
I just can't figure out why.
How old is it?
I don't know. I bought it 6 months ago at Costco.
All right. It's brand new.
Yeah.
So one thing that I have to say does happen is that both routers and cable modems wear out, believe it or not. You wouldn't think so. They're all solid state, but they do, if you think about it, a lot of traffic's going through them. They do get hot, and the heat sometimes breaks these things down. And one common result of that is, and people I know are familiar with this, is your router will just kind of stop working periodically. You have to unplug it, plug it in again, and it's all right for another day or two, and then it fails again. That's literally a worn-out router. But yours is too young to be worn out. It is one thing I think people don't know, but really you should get a new router every few years, not merely because they wear out, but also because technology improves, and mostly because router companies, Netgear included, do not update as often as they should. Sometimes they don't update at all, and there's security holes and all sorts of stuff. Now, this is a fairly new high-speed cable modem. First, let me ask you, it's a DOCSIS 3 modem. Let me ask you, did your cable company, is it on their approved list?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Because a dropped internet could be the modem, could be the cable company, and believe me, they'll never admit it if you call them. So, you might call them and say, why do you keep dropping? And they'll go, it's not our fault.
Well, I did something interesting. When I first got the service, I put in this Netgear router, and I started having this issue, and I thought, oh, well, let me just try Cox's router.
Yeah.
So I put it on there, and I didn't experience the same behaviors.
Okay.
And
all right. Well, I'm starting to think it's that's a very good troubleshooting step. You swapped the culprit out. Things got better. That's got to be it. However, there are ways to do.
I went back.
Okay.
And it happened again.
Yeah. Well, now I have to think it's got to be the Netgear. There are ways to figure this out. I don't know specifically the capabilities of that Netgear, but most routers, you can get a log, a diagnostic log out of it, and you can see what's going on. You can see, and what you want to do is look at the log right when you lost the internet to see if something happened. It'll give you some idea of whether it's Cox, whether it's the hardware, what's going on. Now, somebody's suggesting this I don't know if you can do this. I have a Netgear router that you can modify the firmware. You can put other firmware on. I bet you can't on this, but you might look and see if there's a third party.
I have, and there doesn't appear to be.
Okay.
And there have been no updates to the firmware or the operating system in this since I purchased it.
Often the case, although 6 months isn't that long. Padre in our chat room, Padre SJ, says those Netgear combo units often have memory issues, are known to hit 90% plus memory usage, and they start giving you server busy errors, 503s, which basically looks like your internet's died. So again, a log might give you, I'm not sure if it logs memory usage, but it would be well worth looking at. So go into those settings, and you'll probably have to go pretty deep in the advanced settings to find the logs. But if you can, take a look at those and see if you can get any information there. This is one of those combo units that apparently is known to have problems with memory leaks. So another fix for this would be to go out and get a cable modem, again approved by Cox. I really like the Aris cable modems. There's some very good cable modems, and a separate router unit.
Yeah. I was thinking about doing that. I was just trying to minimize the number of things that are plugged in.
Yeah.
And all the power units, because it's with a stereo system and speakers, and
I understand.
And I'm kind of using up all.
Nobody wants all those blinking lights and wires, and I understand, but it is often the case that that doesn't work. Now I'm looking at the wire cutter. I love these guys. They really do thorough testing. Their favorite cable modem is in fact a Netgear. They used to like the Aris, but they like the CM500. So I won't say that it's a bad cable modem, but and the other thing, and Padre's reminding me of this too, is did you get it from Cox, or did you get it? You said you bought it at the store, right?
Yes, I did.
Okay, so Cox didn't put any firmware on it, I presume.
That's correct.
Yeah.
They just provisioned it. I just called them on the phone and gave them the MAC address, and they put it in their system.
Yeah, sometimes provisioning involves putting custom firmware on that. And there you go with another massive issue.
So,
Right.
I would look at the logs, see if you can get a better handle on what's going on. If you can't, it might be time. It sounds like it's the culprit since you swapped in the Cox cable modem and everything was fine. Might be time to get a new cable modem.
Yeah, I think I might do that and go with a separate.
I love the Aris, the SB models. They're under $100. You can get them on Amazon. Just make sure it matches up with the recommendations from Cox. But you might want to look at DOCSIS 3.1 because that's coming soon.
Okay.
And that will improve bandwidth. All right. I wish I had a fix for you, but of course it's too hard to tell. But I can give you as you said, a pointer in the right direction and the encouragement that this is what happens is these devices, they're really cheap. And so they literally wear out. Last question of the day. I got about a minute left. Let's see here. Can we handle Kyle in San Pedro, California? Hi, Kyle.
Hi, Leo. This is Kyle.
Yep. What can I do for you?
Yeah, I got a problem with the updating to the Creators Edition of Windows 10.
Oh, boy. Fall Creators or the 1703, the spring update or the fall update?
The 1703. Before you... I have a HP Z1, and I'm coming... What was that?
Uh-oh. HP's had problems with the Fall Creators update. I don't know how 1703 works.
Well, that's the thing. I tried. I'm actually on the version 15.11 with the latest OS build.
My advice is you're not an insider, right? And you're just letting it do the updates. Don't force the updates.
I'm not. I'm just letting it do its updates.
Because the theory is Microsoft will only offer you the update when your machine is ready for it.
Yeah, so that's the thing. I got the message last year for the anniversary, and it had the same problem of it locking up after about 35%.
I'm going to run out of time, so hang on. I'm going to handle you off the air because we're out of time. But I do want to thank Kim Schaffer for answering the phones, and Michael Cozio, our musical director, and most importantly, all of you for listening. I will be back next week. I hope you will too. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Have a great geek week. Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. Thank you so much for being here. And don't forget, it's just the tip of the iceberg. We do nearly 30 shows on the Netcast network. It's called TWIT, T-W-I-T. It stands for This Week in Tech, and you'll find it at twit.tv, including the podcasts for this show. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on Mac Break Weekly, iPads, iPhones, Apple Watches on iOS Today, security on Security Now. I mean, I can go on and on and on. You even get your daily dose of tech news with Tech News Today. And, of course, the big show every Sunday afternoon, This Week in Tech. You'll find it all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next week with another great Tech Guys show. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time. Sorry, Kyle. Thank you for hanging on.
Yeah.
These things must happen in their proper order.
That's okay.
What was the trouble you're having with the upgrade? What happens?
Well, what happened is this is the actual second time I've actually tried updating to the Creators Edition, the Spring Edition. I did it back in July when I got the message saying I was clear to go.
Yeah.
And it locks up for about 35%, where when I mean locks up, the screen kind of goes to an off gray kind of blackness.
Yes. Oh, I know that screen color very well.
Yeah. So this time, what happened is on Friday I got a message saying that I've the 15.11 version is no longer going to be updated, so I won't be secure.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. So then I decided, okay.
Here's what I would suggest. First thing to try, you can actually get the update standalone. So these updates in place are notoriously challenging. So when they don't work or they fail and you get stuck and you get an issue, the next thing to try is to download the update directly as a file.
I did.
You
I
did
downloaded it to a thumb drive and I'm having the same problem.
Same problem.
Well, actually, the problem I'm having this time is it won't let me upgrade. It won't let me do an actual an upgrade to one that's already on the system. And then if I do a clean install, it says I can't do clean install either.
What? So you actually wiped the drive and tried over?
I haven't. I was going to do that, But then it says I'm like I have 3 different actual the way it's set up. I have 3 different drive partitions, and I can't install into any one of those 3 drive partitions from the factory. You know, the way HP gave, there's 3 partitions.
You could try it from Microsoft. Microsoft offers an ISO for Windows 10. It will be updated with the fall update pretty soon, like in the next few weeks. And use theirs. You don't have to use HP's.
Yeah.
Once your system is authenticated for Windows 10, you're done. You don't have to worry about a serial number or anything. So that's the good news. I wonder how old is the Z1? Is it?
It's about 3 years old. Yeah. I read on a website yesterday. I came across it. I didn't care, but I just came across it. And they said there's known problems with 2-in-1s built from 2012 to 2014.
Interesting. Yeah.
Sounds
like you're running into that. HP had other problems with the Spring Creators update. I remember a lot of them didn't get an update, and I think even the fall update is going to be troubling for HP. I'm not sure what they're doing that's so different.
Yeah.
I guess my best recommendation at this point, you've got the HP recovery key. You made that.
Yeah.
So there's no risk in trying to download. Go to, you want to download Windows 10 Media Creator from Microsoft.com. Make a USB key with that and try just... do you have to have those 3 partitions? Do you care?
No, I don't. I mean,
I'd try wiping it and creating it. You can always, after you install it in a single partition, use the disk manager to shrink that partition and create the other 2 again.
Okay.
But I would try just, repartition the whole thing, wipe it all out, make sure that's not the problem. Do it from Microsoft's USB key, not HP's. See if that works. You will have to do a lot of updating, obviously, because you're going to need the HP drivers and all of that.
Yeah, so that's why I really didn't want to do that.
Yeah, I don't blame you, but you're stuck, I think, otherwise.
I know. Yeah, I did download the actual from the USB key. I did download it from Windows, so that's the one I had. And
that would be if you've already done a recovery from HP and that didn't work, I think that would be the next step.
Yeah, this time it wouldn't let me go back to a previous version.
That's weird.
Yeah,
I'm not sure what that is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
And can I ask you one other question?
Sure, Kyle.
On the Synergy, I'm thinking about getting a NAS Synergy. Do I need to keep that thing powered on every single day, 24 hours? So I'm just using it kind of like a vault.
So you mean the Synology?
Yeah, the Synology.
No, you could shut it down. It has a shutdown process. It's designed to be on all the time.
Yeah, as I said, I just use it to store old projects. I'm a landscape architect. So
if all you really want to do is use it as a backup, you might be better off just getting a Drobo or something like that, a big USB drive. Then you copy it over, unplug it, put it away. You don't need, in other words, all the overhead of a network-attached storage device. You're not using it that way. You're just using it as a backup drive, basically.
Yeah, well, basically what it is the access stuff from for a couple of years. So I don't have it constantly on the actual computer. I can go back into previous projects, 4 or 5 years ago and pull stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's not much. It's pretty much the same plugging in a USB drive than firing up the NAS, updating the software, making sure everything's working, and then copying it off. I think it'd be better off just get a Drobo.
The Drobo 5N?
Yep. That's networking, so you don't have to have it direct connected. And just use it as if it were a giant hard drive.
Okay, so I looked at that doing that, and I started seeing because I do watch your program.
I love the Synology, but we mine's on all the time. I mean, it's designed to be on always.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll look at that.
All right, Kyle.
All your help.
All right, see ya.
You.
Thanks. Bye.